All right, let's dive right in. We start at this super fancy mansion that looks like it's straight out of an old school movie. Inside the Duke's mansion, he drops a total bombshell on his son Thor, telling him to pack his bags because the Empire is taking him away as a hostage. Thor is totally freaking out, but it's already game over because his ride is waiting outside and they won't even let him grab his favorite body pillow. His dad gives him this totally ice-cold look and just says, "Thor, you're not wanted here anymore." Our guy is totally freaking out, asking his dad why he's acting like this after 3 years apart, but the Duke just destroys him by calling him completely useless. Man, this dad is straight up trash. Thor dipped from his toxic family as a kid to try and live a normal life, but they dragged him back just to bully him, and now his dad won't stop screaming about how he can't fight, which is basically like being stuck without Wi-Fi in this world. The guard captain tries to speak up about Thor's appraisal, but the Duke totally shuts him down. Back when Thor was 10, he got his skills checked and found out he had 0 fighting talent, which was a total embarrassment for his whole family. When he hit 12, they tried a re-roll, but his luck was absolute trash. He got stuck with basic magic and 0 attack spells, so all the rich snobs just laughed and called him a total disgrace. The Duke is totally losing it because his family is supposed to be full of absolute beasts, but instead, he's stuck with this guy. Pops goes into a total meltdown, pointing his finger like a disappointed anime dad and asking if he understands the despair of having a kid like him. But man, he really needs to chill because it's not even that deep. This is Thor's whole world now, and it's the total trash treatment you get when you have 0 fighting skills. But wait, he's actually got a secret weapon. He can't fight for real, but his alchemy skills are totally crap. He's trying to sell his gear by flexing his repair skills and his government job, but his real dream is to level up so he can craft some legendary items. The Duke totally loses it, slamming his fist into the floor and screaming for everyone to shut up. Man, what a massive drama queen. He totally trashes Thor's big plans, telling him the Empire already has legendary gear and doesn't need his junk. What an absolute savage. Thor finally realizes these guys aren't budging, so he stops trying to talk sense into them and just asks where they're shipping him off to. The truth is, that place is a total death trap where every hostage just straight up vanishes and literally no one ever makes it back. Thor finally puts the pieces together and asks the one question he shouldn't. Wait, are you talking about the Demon King's territory? His dad just gives him this smug look and says he's right, basically sending his own son on a suicide mission to get absolutely wrecked by demons. Thor is totally freaking out because the map shows the demon lands are crawling with monsters ready for a fight. His dad explains he's basically a human sacrifice to keep the demons from freaking out, while the guards are just like, "Hurry up and get lost already, man." Then, to show he's the absolute worst, the Duke just straight up punches his own son right in the gut. Thor slams into the ground gasping for air, and everyone is left wondering why. But then his eyes light up with rage as he stares down his dad and tells him he straight up hates him. The Duke doesn't even blink as he lands the finishing blow, telling him he doesn't waste words on dead guys. And man, this dude seriously wins the award for the world's worst dad. So our guy gets totally kicked out of his very own kingdom. He's trapped in a carriage rolling straight toward his death, wondering what kind of crazy place the Demon King actually lives in. So, 100 years ago, this massive war was going down until a hero got isekai'd in and totally pushed the demons back. Things have been quiet since then, but the demons still absolutely hate every single human. This whole place is a total mystery, and nobody knows what's actually going on. Thor's stuck inside the moving box, and he can't see a single thing. 20 guards have him totally cornered, so there's no way he's making a run for it. He's just thinking about how he tried to ditch his crazy family, but they just had to pull him right back in. He flashes back to his super chill days as a government worker, using his mom's last name and just fixing stuff at a job he actually liked. He used his alchemy to make everything perfect, even forging a magic sword and totally living his best life as a master crafter. Fast forward to the present, and he suddenly pulls out 3 spoons. He locks his eyes on one and yells, "Alchemy, activate!" The spoon literally melts into a puddle of metal right in his hand. Then, like a total beast, he just molds the whole thing into a deadly shit. Turns out his alchemy is low-key broken since he can deconstruct, rebuild, and even scan any item he finds. His big dream was to finally open up his own workshop one day. He grips his new knife tight, refusing to let his dream end and telling himself there's no way he's dying. Out of nowhere, a guard screams that they've finally reached the edge of the Demon King's land. The carriage door swings open with a loud creak. This massive guy in full armor orders him to get lost. Thor steps out, and man, he looks like he's walking straight to his own funeral. They're standing right at the edge of the world where the road just stops, and this is officially the very last spot in human territory. Thor tries to get some answers, asking the guards if they're just handing him over to someone else. The commander totally ignores him and just tells an archer to fire a signal arrow straight into the creepy forest. Suddenly, the leaves start shaking as something moves deep in the trees. This massive bull-headed monster steps out, the guards instantly freeze up, and it's clear the enemy has finally arrived. Two more absolute units step out of the trees, followed by a tiny, super cute elf wearing a full-on maid outfit. Thor is just standing there totally confused by three massive minotaurs and a cute girl. So when the elf maid asks if he's scared, he tries to act all cool and says it's rude to show you're actually terrified. I mean, he literally just saw a massive minotaur for the first time, and now he's standing right next to a total elf waifu. He tries to make a killer first impression by acting all formal, while the guards behind him are literally shaking with fear. But wait, it's actually a total galaxy brain move because Thor Rigyus is just tricking them so he can make a clean getaway. Then the elf Mabel welcomes him in the Demon King's name, and his brain totally short-circuits because he can't tell if he's the guest of honor or the main course. He's totally freaking out thinking it's a trap and these massive minotaurs are going to flatten him, but he needs to chill because they're actually just being super nice. He's still losing it and telling the guards to watch out, but they just locked him in a carriage and dipped, so maybe they're actually the good guys here. He finally pulls himself together and thanks them for, dealing with all that trouble. He puffs out his chest and drops this super extra intro about being Thor Rigyus, the Duke's oldest son, and man, he is really laying it on thick. It's so quiet and awkward that you can literally feel the tension in the air. Mabel is grinning ear to ear because she's never met anyone from the Empire this polite before, and she is straight up fangirl. Thor is sweating bullets, forcing a nervous grin and telling her he's hyped to work together. He grabs the papers and starts tripping because they don't mention him being a sacrifice, but seriously, what did he think was about to go down? Mabel shows off his new assistant, a super jacked minotaur who literally carries him around whenever he's too tired to walk. What an absolute Chad. The second that deal is finished, the Empire's knights bolt so fast, you'd think they saw a ghost. What a bunch of total cowards. Everyone's screaming like it's the end of the world, but our guy and his new elf maid are just standing there wondering what the big deal is. Mabel asks him straight up if he's scared, and he just scoffs like, "Who, me?" acting all smooth by saying it'd be rude to even show it. But deep down, he's realizing these minotaurs are treating him like a total VIP instead of a prisoner. He's blown away because these guys are way nicer than the Empire soldiers. And it's honestly like night and day. Right as he's chilling, boom, a wave of dark magic slams into him. But he's not getting tired. He's actually getting a massive power boost just by standing on the Demon King's land. Out of nowhere, the system starts freaking out as he finishes absorbing all that dark magic, unlocking every single element and a ton of new skills. Our boy seriously just hit the ultimate luck lottery. He's completely shook, wondering what just happened, and instantly pulls up his status screen. And what does he see? Creative Alchemy, the most broken high-tier skill that's so insane you need all 6 elements just to unlock it. He picks up Material Alchemy to spawn items from Magic and Addition Alchemy to buff his gear, basically turning himself into a human crafting table. He also snagged Appraisal Grasp, the classic skill every OP main character needs to be totally broken. He's staring at the screen with his jaw on the floor because his alchemy skill just evolved into something that shouldn't even exist. Then it finally hits him. The reason he was so trash at fighting was because all his XP was secretly dumping into this insane SSS tier creative skill, meaning he wasn't weak. Mabel snaps him back to reality, totally worried that the weird magic in this place is making him sick. Right then, it all finally clicks. The humans only use fire and light, but this demon land is overflowing with darkness and he just soaked up the one power he's been missing his entire life. It finally clicks for him. While the human capital treats dark magic like total garbage, this place is absolutely loaded with it. He sucks up all that energy to hit the final requirement for his true strength. And man, this is the ultimate glow-up. The forest path starts getting really sketchy, so our boy steps up like a total gentleman and warns Ms. Mabel to watch her step. And right on time, you hear a sharp little crack. Her pendant gets sent flying through the air. The chain snags on a branch and snaps, but this isn't just some random necklace. It's a gift from her mom. And man, the feels are real. She stares down at the broken piece, looking absolutely crushed. She tries to play it cool and says she's fine, but we all know that's a total lie. But Thor isn't backing down, stepping up like a total boss and asking if he can be the one to fix the mess. Mabel's totally caught off guard and asks if he's a craftsman, but then he drops a major sob story about how back in the Empire, they wouldn't even let. He just spent his whole day fixing random junk because absolutely nobody was giving his workshop any business. But then something inside him just clicks. He's not that same guy anymore, and he looks up thinking, "No, I am an alchemist." He's finally done hiding and is showing everyone exactly what he's made of. He introduces himself again with total confidence, telling them he's the alchemist Thor Reguez and asking to fix that chain with straight-up king energy. She's totally unsure, asking if it's fine, even though she's not human. But he just tells her it doesn't matter. Man, he is scoring some massive points with her right now. She hands it over and tells him it's a huge deal, so now he's really starting to feel the heat. Thor just says, "I get it," and fires up his totally broken new skill, creative alchemy. First off, he uses his appraisal grasp to see exactly what he's up against. The scan shows it's a water spirit stone pendant, but the chain is made of some weird mystery metal that's definitely going to be a challenge. He's betting he can use material alchemy to forge a brand new chain out of pure magic and even slap a water attribute on it for a sweet power boost. He pumps his magic into it, picturing everything finally snapping into place. And just like that, bam, it's totally fixed. Mabel and the Minotaurs are totally losing their minds because it looks so incredible, and she can't believe it's actually fixed and looking way better than before. Even Thor is shocked by his own insane power, but he tries to act all chill like it was just a quick fix with some flaws. Bro, stop being so humble. He hands it back and she finally stops calling him Messenger. It's just Thor now and they're officially on a first-name basis. She's totally losing it and crying happy tears because you actually fixed her mom's most precious treasure, and she can't thank you enough. These Minotaurs are basically his personal hype squad now. Convinced Thor is a total legend who's going to be the greatest alchemist ever, while Thor just stands there blushing, super happy he could actually help out. Then it finally clicks. This is the first time he's ever done this. He's seriously never been more thankful for his alchemy than in this exact moment. He can't stop thinking about his trash dad who called his powers useless and basically sent him away to die. Mabel's huge smile is a total 180 from before, and she asks if this feeling of helping people is finally what he was looking for. Our boy starts getting all choked up with tears in his eyes, telling them he's just so happy he finally made it here. He starts thinking about those legendary alchemists from the history books, wondering if they felt this same hype-making gear for people. Then Mabel drops the ultimate move by telling him to just call her Mabel, and man, things are definitely getting serious now. They're all smiles and officially buddies now, with Thor thanking Mabel for the help and her calling him Mr. Alchemist right back. Just like that, our boy started his new OP life as an alchemist right in the middle of demon territory. Thor pulls up to the spot and asks if he's finally standing on the Demon King's turf. He peeks out the window and sees a massive river with ships sailing by, and it's definitely not the total nightmare he was expecting. Get this, the sailors are actually straight-up fishmen, and things are about to get absolutely insane for our boy. This place is totally packed with beastmen, mermaids, and all kinds of demi-humans just chilling out. Mabel, the elf-maid waifu, explains that demi-humans are actually everywhere, even though the Empire's lies made this place sound like a total disaster zone. But honestly, it's actually super chill since the Empire just makes up scary stories about monsters snatching people to keep everyone away. She tells him straight up that since their numbers are low, everyone has to step up, and she's hoping he'll actually be useful instead of just being a hostage. Thor finally uses his brain and realizes he's literally a hostage, so his only real job is to stay alive. He's asking what actually happened to the last group of humans they shipped over here. Mabel's like, dude, that was 50 years ago. She's not that old, and the only reason she even knows about it is because he finally showed up. So the last hostage actually just bailed since they didn't even lock him up. And even though that forest is a total death trap, he managed to sneak all the way back home. Thor's just standing there, letting all that new info sink in, looking totally lost in thought. Check this out. The demons treat them like VIP guests, but the Empire is lying to everyone and calling them hostages and sacrifices just to make themselves look better. Whenever these humans decide to bail, they totally ghost the Empire and get marked as MIA, which is honestly super sneaky. Mabel starts getting nervous and asks Thor if he's going to ditch them too, reminding him that they definitely don't have another awesome alchemist like him. She hits him with those puppy dog eyes and promises to make his stay perfect, while he finally remembers he's actually there as a diplomat to keep the peace. He straight up admits he was gonna bail, but since they aren't even locking him up, he thinks the whole thing is way too easy. He's also totally simping for Mabel since she's the only person who actually hyped up his alchemy, and he is not about to let his new waifu down. Our guy stands tall and swears he's gonna give it everything he's got for the Demon Nation. And man, you love to see that character growth. Mabel is blushing like crazy and looks super happy, so mission accomplished, man. Alright, it's time for the big boss fight, where they finally face the Demon King. And the #1 rule is, Do not make him mad and just keep the vibes chill. Thor is looking super sketchy, and while Mabel and the buff Minotaurs are chill, the big boss is a whole different level of trouble. Boom! They finally reach the castle, and it looks totally legendary and super creepy. Inside, there's this massive throne room that's totally empty for now. This guy is taking his final walk to execution, surrounded by some absolutely shredded Minotaur guards. He's sweating like crazy and his heart is thumping because the pressure is totally off the charts. The announcer screams out the name and it's official. The Demon King Rookie Everguard is finally here. A deep voice rumbles out, "I'm handing over that new guy from the Empire." There he is, the Demon King, looking like a massive mouse in a robe. It's totally weird, but Thor just steps up and introduces himself. Thor tries to be polite, but the Demon King gets straight to the point, introducing himself as 8 and asking what Thor can actually do, since the Duke wouldn't send a total weakling to his. Thor's just like, "Yeah, I actually mess around with alchemy a little bit." He realizes that if he's a guest and not a prisoner, then this is basically a job interview he can use to his advantage. The Demon King is interested, but this slick guy Curve thinks the Empire is super powerful for having alchemists, until Thor shuts him down by saying alchemists are actually seen as totally useless back home. Big yikes for the Empire. Thor's like, "So I'm hired?" And the Demon King is totally down, giving him a whole workshop to just go wild in. The Demon King asks our guy exactly what he needs to kick things off. Thor starts rattling off a massive shopping list for his new room, but the king just nods and asks what's next, leaving our guy stunned by how simple this is. The king tells him to just make a list and they'll take care of everything, leaving Thor completely blown away. The king gives him the green light to build whatever he wants as long as they can make copies for everyone. And while Thor is totally down, he's got one big question first. He's totally confused why they're acting so chill since he's from the enemy empire, but the Demon King just drops a savage line to teach him a lesson. Thor is totally lost, so the king drops some major lore about how human smarts and ice heroes absolutely wrecked the demons way back in the day. Way back in the day, humans summoned some insanely OP heroes from another world who used their broken skills to absolutely wreck the demon army. After finally wrecking the old Demon King, the hero dipped back to his own world and left all his busted gear and secrets behind. Thor's points out that was literally 200 years ago, but the king doesn't care because they took that massive L and used it to level up. This new Demon King is a total legend who doesn't want any beef because he's way more into getting smart. He's not letting his ancestors' sacrifices go to waste, so he's bringing in imperial guests to swipe their tech and copy their whole vibe. He tells Thor their kingdom is the perfect spot for an alchemist to level up, and they seriously need his big brain to keep up with the Empire. Thor is totally losing his mind because he finally has the freedom to show off his real talent and get the respect he deserves. It's the ultimate glow-up. Super hyped, our boy shouts that he's going to make something totally crazy as a thank you gift for the king. The Demon King is totally down for it, but he warns them they better not mess this up. Now that the meeting's over, the Prime Minister tells Thor to go get some rest after his massive journey. And just like that, the meeting is totally over. The Demon King just watches him walk away with all his guards around him, but the second Thor is out of sight, the king is like, "All right, it's go time." The Demon King gathers his strongest generals for a meeting, and the only thing they're talking about is Thor Regus, that new transfer student from the Empire. The whole squad is finally here, with the elf magic boss, the lizard man captain, and my boy the Minotaur commander. Man, look at these absolute units. The Demon King shuts everyone up instantly, warning those losers that if anyone even thinks about touching this guy, they're dead meat. He doubles down, telling them to show Thor some respect, learn about the human world from him, and spread the word. Basically, stop being cringe because they're way better than that. But then the elf commander speaks up and asks what they're even supposed to learn from some random human from the Empire, totally throwing shade. He's even got a cocky smirk on his face, getting way too full of himself. Instead of taking notes, he decides to flex on the guy and show him why their territory is a straight-up nightmare for anyone looking for trouble. The Demon King just clobbers him with that creepy hoe, and man, you can literally feel the room turn freezing cold, but the Demon King actually agrees that flexing his power is a great move, but his energy is super sketchy and it totally feels like a trap. This total dummy elf thinks he's actually winning, stuttering out a thank you without realizing he just walked straight into a massive trap. The Demon King just lets out a massive, heavy sigh. Then he just starts going off on the guy, asking if they forgot they almost went extinct because their ancestors were too cocky to realize humans are dangerous. And he's spitting such facts that everyone is just left speechless. The Empire is totally blowing up and getting way more powerful. Some of them are even tougher than us now. And he's basically roasting the elf commander for being a total trash-tier strategist. He screams at the guy, asking how he can say they have nothing to learn when he knows so much. and the elf commander is getting totally roasted and can only say sorry. The prime minister jumps in to chill everyone out, agreeing to use those creations to study their tech, and he's a total legend for saving his guy from getting turned into dust. The Demon King chills out and realizes they need to be careful since Thor is from the Empire, so he calls Mabel up to see what the guy can really do. Just like that, the cute elf Mabel is officially his new personal caretaker, and our guy basically just scored a top-tier waifu. Suddenly, the Demon King remembers and asks Mabel if Thor was the guy who fixed that pendant. She's like, "You're totally right, Your Majesty," and explains he used magic silver on that water spirit stone pendant he's got. The Prime Minister is totally stunned because this guy just spawned magical silver out of thin air, and since Mabel saw the whole thing, they're going to appraise it to prove it's legit. Nerve looks over at Mabel, and he's looking dead serious. He asks if that pendant is your mom's old heirloom, but its magic should have been totally gone by now. He drops the bombshell that the busted magic stone is finally fixed, and Mabel and the lizard boys are totally losing their minds. Nerve says fixing a water spirit stone is straight up impossible with their tech, but Thor just casually pulled it off like it was nothing. He starts breaking it all down. First, this proves there's an alchemist who can fix OP gear in a heartbeat. And second, the Empire probably has a whole squad of guys just like him. This Demon King is playing 4D chess, and I knew they wouldn't just hand him over for nothing. Nerve agrees this is a massive threat because if the Empire has an army of Thors, trying to fight back is totally useless. The commanders are totally freaking out just thinking about it. Or maybe the Empire was just too dumb to see his insane skills and yeeted him, which, let's be real, is probably exactly what happened. I know the Demon King is only 8, but we're still being super careful, so after the elf commander says sorry again, they all head off to get Thor's workshop ready. Mabel goes to grab our guy, apologizing for the heavy weight and thinking he's probably a total nervous wreck. But nah, he's actually having the time of his life just geeking out over a vase. He's basically just a total alchemy geek pointing at random stuff and wondering what it's made of, so Mabel finally realizes she was stressing for nothing. Honestly, he's such... Then, 2 massive lizard men show up to be his personal bodyguards. Mabel is totally freaking out because those guards don't even need weapons when their claws can shred him to pieces, and she knows he's about to be scared for his life. Thor is so clueless he just says, "Cool, I'm in your hands," while Mabel's brain literally starts glitching because of how chill he's being. Our guy explains he's just shook because it's his first time seeing a lizard man, and Mabel is stunned that a human actually used their proper name. Most humans are actually super judgmental and call them lizard freaks, so she just thinks he's blown away by their crazy strength and scale. But Thor's brain is on a totally different level, and he's just over here worrying about their scales getting snagged on their clothes, so he decides he's going to use. Mabel is totally speechless because she never saw that coming in a million years. Thor keeps going, saying he's just super curious to see how all the different races actually live here. This place is packed with all kinds of creatures, and you just know every single one of them is dealing with some major drama. He wants to use his tech to fix every problem and change the world, and for real, this kid is a total legend. He says he just wants to pay back the Demon King for hiring him, and Mabel can tell he's being totally for real. Even the lizard guards can tell just by looking at him that he's a legit alchemist who doesn't care about your race, only the problems he needs to fix. Mabel is officially a Thor fangirl now, calling him incredible and looking totally head over heels. She bows down and swears she's going to help him with everything she's got. He's just stoked she's helping him out, and it looks like these two are finally becoming friends. And just like that, she's officially the babysitter for the guy who's about to totally flip the Demon Kingdom on its head. So let's go. We jump into a flashback where her own people are totally roasting her, calling her a useless half-blood and a disgrace just because she can't use any magic. She's just a little girl begging them to quit, but these guys are straight up heartless. It was actually just a nightmare, another total trauma dump from her childhood. She wakes up and her feet are freezing cold like always, which is honestly a total mood. She's just wishing she could finally move on from her past and this super weird sensitivity to the cold. She bundles up in these massive fluffy socks, but she's totally freaked out that Thor-sama is going to catch her looking like this. Seriously though, you're totally killing it in that maid outfit, so don't even worry about it. Back at the Demon King's storehouse, Thor is totally losing his mind over all the epic loot. He's totally losing it with excitement, standing right in the middle of a massive mountain of loot. He notices a bunch of wrecked shields and armor just scattered all over the ground. Our boy just hit the ultimate jackpot and he's totally losing it, thinking the Demon King's castle is the coolest place ever. He finally locks in when he realizes the Demon King is actually betting on him, and if he doesn't deliver, he's getting kicked out for good. It's time to grind and build something so epic it blows everyone's minds, especially the big boss. He's digging through some junk for supplies when he suddenly finds this super creepy book. The writing looks totally alien, so he figures the last owner just trashed it because they couldn't read a word. Sucks to be them. This is literally an ad for a footbath from another world, and the reviews are pure gold. Some 34-year-old salaryman says it cured his cold feet and even helped him land. Thor is totally losing it that a high-level SDR item like this was just sitting around gathering dust. Then it hits him. Wait a second. He shouldn't even be able to read this world's language. Or can he? He breezed through the whole thing because his alchemy skill basically has a built-in translator, and it turns out the book is just a giant online shopping catalog. His skill lets him read alien text and appraise items, which is basically a total cheat code. This catalog is for a spot called Nihon, and one of the heroes definitely left it behind. He keeps flipping through and spots all this insane recovery gear, like heated face masks and stuff to help him sleep way better. Then everything finally clicks, and he realizes exactly how the heroes got so insanely powerful. These guys are basically ordering buffs on Prime, using glasses for supervision and pills that give 10 hours of sleep in just 2. Talk about some total pay-to-win garbage. Right as he's about to have a total breakdown, Mabel the elf bursts in with tea and scares him half to death. She's like, "My bad, I didn't realize you were totally locked in." He holds out the book and asks if she can actually read it, just to be totally sure. She's totally lost and explains that random junk from other worlds just spawns here out of nowhere all the time. She hits him with a brutal roast, saying he sounds exactly like a guy who never cleans his room. Straight up savage. He just takes the tea, looking super awkward the whole time. Mabel gets real about why she's so nervous, explaining that her mana flow is total garbage and that's why she can't use magic. All because her grandma was a human. That's why her own people ended up treating her like a total outcast. She was a total pro at cleaning, so the Demon King actually gave her a job, which was honestly such a Chad move. Thor's actually tearing up for her, proving he's just a big softie deep down. He gets all embarrassed and starts apologizing for dumping that whole tragic backstory on them. She says she doesn't even care about all that magic junk, because she's actually just super proud of her human grandma. Thor finally puts the pieces together and realizes, wait, so back when you first came to find me, she admits it's true, saying her grandma made her super curious about humans, and he was the one she was dying to meet. She's just so happy he was the first human she ever met, and guys, this ship is officially sailing. He gets all red in the face and quickly switches the topic to how awesome the Demon King's land is for welcoming everyone. Mabel's totally down for it, saying it lets everyone show off their own cool skills just like she does. Thor gets a wild idea and asks her to help him with a crazy experiment. First, he snatches a couple of beat-up shields from the pile. He takes another look at that footbath ad and man, this thing is basically a total miracle cure. The ad even shows how it uses water currents to blast your pressure points, which is honestly some crazy high-tech stuff. He figures those trashy shields are actually the perfect materials. He just has to yank out the fire and wind magic stones. Those shields are already trashed, so it's not like he's losing anything anyway. It's time for some over-alchemy as he uses his skill to melt those shields and snatch the stones right out. He starts molding the metal like it's soft clay without even trying. Mabel walks in with a tub right as he's finishing up, and he tells her he's going to turn that shield into parts for a footbath. She's totally speechless, like, "Bro, are you seriously wrecking the castle right now?" He just smirks, says, "Alchemy, baby," and pokes her on the cheek, and I swear this guy is totally down bad for her. Now that he's got everything he needs, he finally locks in and gets to work. Kemi is finally powering up, so get ready because it's time to show them what we've really got. He uses that catalog picture as a mental map and starts upgrading all his materials. He pictures the magic stones dumping all their power straight into the water. He knows he can't build an exact replica since that world's tech is way too advanced, but he can totally use magic to get the same result. The wind stone handles the vibrations and the fire stone brings the heat, making it a totally simple way to mess with that ice guy. The system gives him the green light, the image is locked in, and it's finally time to build. And boom, just like that, the creation alchemy is totally finished. He pulls up the stats and sees this footbath is a 2-star item with 25 years of durability, which is honestly a huge win for something made out of literal junk. He shoves it right at Mabel, totally hyped, and tells her it's the perfect fix for her cold feet. She's totally losing it. And after only 10 minutes, he's wondering if every alchemist in the Empire is this broken, especially since his own family wouldn't even let him step foot in a workshop. He remembers his dad's voice screaming at him to stop acting like such a big shot. He totally fumbles his words and mumbles that there are probably tons of other guys out there just as strong as he is. Mabel's totally freaking out just thinking about an entire army of thorns running wild. He tries to act all chill and says it's no big deal since he just copied the move. Then he just hands it over to her like it's no big deal. She's totally obsessed with me, So he's just like, all right, let's fill this thing with water and I'll show you how it works. Thor is hyped to show the Prime Minister his new invention, breaking down the manual like he's unboxing a brand new console. The MC stops the Prime Minister and asks why he's even in his workshop, and the guy just says he heard about the Esther loot and had to see it for himself. Thor starts a quick tutorial for his new foot bath, telling the elf maid Mabel to pour the water, charge up the firestone with mana, and finally dip her toes in. She slowly dips her feet in, probably thinking this whole thing is just some cheap, low-budget trap. Man, she is totally freaking out about this whole mess. Then he's like, wait, here's the best part, and tells her to charge up the windstone to get that vibration going. Suddenly, the water starts going wild and she's kicking her feet like crazy. She lets out this insane scream that's loud enough to shatter glass. She's screaming her lungs out, and man, these water jets are hitting all the wrong spots. Seriously, what kind of crazy foot bath did you even build? She's totally losing it. But Thor is just standing there like the magic stone is working perfectly while the Prime Minister watches the whole disaster go down. Mabel is straight up ascending with her face all red, shouting about how warm and incredible it feels. She's honestly struggling to handle how crazy powerful this foot spa is. She's totally losing her mind, screaming like she just pulled a legendary 5-star character on her very first try. She's straight up chilling in heaven right now, while they're just chilling at a foot bath. The narrator says a crazy change is happening inside her, and honestly, that's the most epic way to describe a foot massage. The Prime Minister tries to sound like a total scientist, guessing that her body isn't even feeling the cold anymore as he asks if she's doing okay. Blushing like crazy, she stammers that her mana is finally flowing right, proving this thing is a total real-deal healing item. The PM is totally stunned, realizing that mana is actually coming from one of the hero's legendary health items. His brain is totally fried because there's no record of the hero's gear ever being able to warp someone to another dimension. Thor just shrugs it off, acting like since heroes are broken, their gear should be too, and the Prime Minister is totally losing his mind over this guy's wild logic. He drops to his knees, screaming that even the Demon King's top healers couldn't fix her broken mana flow. Our MC is over here thinking the heroes had some insane gear, but bro, that was all you. You're the one who's actually broken. A bit later, Mabel feels totally energized with her mana flowing perfectly, so the PM tells her to give a spell a shot. She gets all depressed and says she quit magic forever ago, so get ready guys, because a super sad backstory is definitely heading our way. Thor is totally done with her edgy attitude, so he stares her down and tells her to give it a shot because things are different now. She goes full Chuny, screams "Dark Wind," and accidentally yeets the Prime Minister across the room with a massive magic blast. Everyone's jaw just hit the floor. Mabel just stares at her hands in total shock, whispering that magic is actually coming right out of her palms. She breaks down in tears, remembering how everyone used to call her a total piece of trash. She just launches herself at him for a massive hug, shouting, "Thor-sama!" at the top of her lungs. She's sobbing about how everyone bullied her for being an elf with zero magic, and how he's the hero who finally saved her. The PM scrambles back up and points out that Thor is literally getting choked out by that savior hug. She pulls away looking totally flustered, but our guy stays completely chill about it. He's like, yeah, your screen is fixed, but are your feet warm? Because this guy is totally locked in on his real mission. He's just super hyped that his inventions make people smile, and honestly, he's such a legend for that. But the Prime Minister goes full business mode and shuts it down, claiming this magic awakening treasure for the Demon King because he knows a totally broken item when he sees one. Thor's not looking for any trouble, so he just gives up and hands it right over. The Prime Minister offers a massive pile of gold for it, and our MC is just standing there totally clueless. This guy is totally losing it, and I'm actually getting paid for all of this. He remembers his old trash job in the Empire where the pay was garbage, and everyone treated him like a lowly intern. They wouldn't even let him build his own inventions, and the whole workplace was just straight up toxic. But now our boy has a totally different plan, telling them he doesn't even want their gold coins. He drops his master plan, give him total access to the Demon King's magic stones and materials, and he'll trade them for his epic inventions in one massive crafting deal. The Prime Minister goes dead silent, just trying to wrap his head around that absolute boss. He drops the big question, asking if you're actually cool with monsters using your gear. Thor just hits him with a why not, since he thinks making stuff you won't use is a total waste, basically acting like his whole vibe is open source. He finally reveals his real goal. It's not about revenge. He just wants to craft gear that totally blows the hero's stuff out of the water to flex his skills and prove he's the #1 alchemist. That Prime Minister is a total sellout, so I'm gonna go handle the Demon King myself. Let's move. The Demon King is straight up losing his mind right now. He's totally losing it and screaming, especially since Mabel can now use magic thanks to a special item Thor Regu's crafted. The Prime Minister is just standing there acting all chill, confirming he saw the whole thing himself even though his mind is totally blown. Even the Council of Elders is losing it because their best healers couldn't help Mabel for years, but Thor just rolls up and fixes her in a single day. Talk about being built different. The Demon King asks about the foot bath, and the Prime Minister explains the total big brain move where Thor used 2 types of magic to heal Mabel. The old man is totally losing his mind because he thinks this is impossible, but our hero literally just melted fire and wind magic into water using straight-up alchemy. The Prime Minister is dropping straight facts, and since Mabel is a water elf, she soaked up all that mana like a sponge for the perfect cure. It didn't just stop her from shivering, it totally reset her internal mana flow, and Mabel is blushing like crazy now that she knows how insanely OP this guy actually is. The Demon King is still acting like it's no big deal, but he literally just ripped off an item from the hero's world, so he seriously needs to stop coping. But the Prime Minister shuts that down instantly, claiming the ancient texts prove the hero's gear never actually had those crazy buffs. The old scrolls talked about basic healing, but they never mentioned anything this insanely broken. This guy is having a total meltdown because what kind of alchemist fixes a permanent curse with just a hot bath? And now he's completely lost all hope in being Prime Minister. LMAO. Even the Demon King is totally confused, but he's still dead set on getting that foot bath for Mabel. The Prime Minister is starting to act pretty sus, questioning if this is even a good idea since Mabel clearly trusts this Thor fella guy way too much. It's honestly wild since she basically doesn't trust a single soul out there. Her village literally kicked her out for having 0 magic, so it took her forever to actually trust them. Then this sneaky dude just pulls off the craziest power move ever. He tells the king that if Mabel is actually down for it, she should totally marry Thor Dono. Whoa, the Demon King is totally done with this and goes into a massive rage to shut it all down. This guy is straight up losing it, screaming that he'll never let a human trick his best friend and loyal partner Mabel. He's officially done sitting back and is finally ready to jump into the action. He stands up and shouts that he's going to be the one to judge the alchemist Thor himself. And man, things are about to get crazy. Back in the kingdom, this greasy noble is smirking about the trash kid dying, but he's definitely going to regret those words later. A knight is totally chewing out his butler about fixing up a magic sword for the princess. The knight is freaking out because the princess needs that sword, but the butler just acts like it's some dusty piece of junk. They hit up every single alchemist workshop with the sword, but everyone told them it was a total lost cause. The boss is totally losing his mind, even though the report says they're already 80% done. The worker spills the beans that they're totally broke, so this absolute Chad of an employee is fixing everything using his own time and money. The boss is losing his mind that they let a beast like that walk, but the worker just shrugs and says the guy's retired. So who was this total legend? It was actually our main man, Thor Canna. The butler's gears are finally spinning, but hold up, Thor is busy checking out that super interesting guy. Turns out our MC was a total legend, fixing every single problem behind the scenes without even asking for a shout-out. And it's all because some trashy noble told him to get results while staying low-key, basically using him for free labor. The worker tries to stick up for Thor, but the butler just screams at him to shut his mouth. He starts showing off, bragging that the Duke's top alchemists are going to fix the sword right now. The next day at the Empire's #1 workshop, the Master Smith takes one look and tells them this job is way too crazy for them to handle. He explains that fixing a magic sword isn't as simple as hitting it with a hammer, because you can't just patch up the cracks. You'd need god-tier alchemy skills to melt that metal down and give it those exact same magic powers again. The smith tells him straight up that those skills are ancient history, and literally nobody in the Empire can pull it off anymore. The butler suddenly realizes how bad things are and just mutters, "Shit." The old blacksmith is totally geeking out over Thor's work, calling his technique straight up perfect. He's straight up begging on his knees for an intro to the master craftsman, but the butler just screams at him to shut up to cover his own massive fail. He's totally losing it and tells the smith he doesn't even care if it works, as long as it looks like it's fixed. He even tries to act like the sword is no big deal and just for rituals. What a total joke. The smith is totally grossed out, but he agrees to the sketchy deal as long as the butler gives the okay. The butler stomps away feeling totally embarrassed. Man, what a joke. Meanwhile, back in the Demon King's territory, things are about to get absolutely wild. Get a load of this. Mabel is actually spoon-feeding him and his whole face is turning bright red. Our guy tries to switch things up and asks for a new room, but the Demon King tells him the whole castle is totally packed. Thor's super worried his alchemy experiments will blow up and trash the place, so he's got to get his own private lab. Since a room is off the table, He asks for a tour of the castle instead, and Mabel is totally down for it. She is seriously down bad, acting like she'd risk her whole life for him when the guy just wants to check the place out. She clears the table and promises to bring back some tea, serving up that total top-tier waifu energy. Left all alone in the workshop, our guy starts cooking up a wild new plan. He remembers the OG heroes had those broken storage skills, so he starts hunting through a magic item catalog for ideas. Their storage box is a straight-up cheat code with infinite space and auto-sorting, making it a totally broken ability. For real, that's some legendary lost tech from way back in the day. He's hunting through the catalog for a blueprint just like it, because why not try to craft a god-tier item on your very first day? And check it out, he actually found something. There's an ad for a tiny storage unit with a bunny girl mascot, and man, this catalog is just straight up wild. He checks the stats and boom, it's the exact same gear the heroes used, proving the book actually had it. The ad is going wild, calling this place a whole new dimension of space. He's totally losing it because he's about to build a whole secret dimension right in his pocket. They call it the iconic White Rabbit because the first monster they ever wrecked was just a giant bunny with horns, which is honestly pretty lame if you think about it. He's not sure he can pull off a perfect copy, but even a knockoff that holds 1,000 rabbits is a massive win. It's showtime, and our guy kicks things off by firing up his massive chemistry skill. But psych, the spell actually needs dark mana, and our guy is totally out of juice, which is a total disaster. He's totally freaking out because he's in a massive bind, especially since his home empire is completely out of that dark energy. He's basically thinking, man, if only someone with a ton of dark mana would just show up. The system suddenly pings that he snagged the Darkmoon, and our boy is just left standing there like, wait, what? Then, the Demon King himself just strolls in, looking like a massive battery of dark energy and the strongest dude in the castle. Talk about some insane luck. The king tells him to drop the formalities, but our MC can already feel the insane power radiating off this guy. His alchemist senses start screaming because the king's entire drip, including those robes and that mask, are actually Esther magic items. The king gives a massive thanks for fixing Mabel's magic and reveals they've actually been super close since they were little kids. He stays super humble and says he's just glad he could help her. What an absolute Chad. The king thinks he's acting super sus because most humans would be losing their minds right now, but Thor is just chilling like it's no big deal. He doesn't waste any time and asks if our boy is secretly cooking up some massive plan. The king loses his mind and yells that he caught him red-handed. But Thor just pulls out his notebook like a total dork. He shows off his master plan for a super easy storage room that can actually fit 1,000 rabbits. The Demon King is totally stunned because this kid is seriously on a whole different level of weird. The king asks him point blank if he's seriously trying to craft gear that's even more powerful than what the heroes used. Thor's like, yup. And then he reveals he's got this insane online shopping catalog from his super high-tech world. He's gonna rebuild their wild tech one piece at a time, which is honestly such a big brain. He's locked in to solve the mystery and finally level up his alchemy. He starts totally spacing out, dreaming about opening his very own alchemy shop right in the middle of the demon realm. He catches himself being a total nerd and admits he gets way too hyped whenever he talks about his work. The Demon King is having the time of his life, just laughing his head off at the whole thing. This kid is easily the most exciting thing he's run into in forever. He gives his blessing and says that as the Demon King, he's totally down with their ambition, so they should just go for it. Our boy is totally hyped that he finally got the green light to build his workshop. But there's a huge catch. He suddenly grabs a massive slab of metal, and the king totally loses it when he realizes the guy is building the whole thing right then and there. Thor just smacks him with the handle, and since you said it was fine, this man is going absolutely wild with zero chill. He's already got all the materials ready using melted metal from old shields and armor, and he's keeping it small because the real magic is the pocket dimension hidden inside. The king just pumped him full of dark energy, and now he's ready to go absolutely wild. Mabel tells the Demon King that once Thor locks in, he's totally unstoppable, while the old advisor is freaking out because he can't believe Thor is actually crafting this thing right now. The advisor is totally losing his mind, but Mabel says Thor-sama is on their side and even wants to make special clothes that won't get stuck on the Lizardman's scales. The Demon King is totally shook that a human actually cares about Lizardman's style, and he's giving him major props for being unbiased and wanting to help his people. Mabel goes into total best girl mode, begging the king to finally trust her boy Thor. It's finally go time, and Thor starts mapping out the area in his head, locking in exactly 1.2 meters on all sides to get this bread. He starts his insane chant, pulling in metal for the frame, dark mana to keep it steady, earth for the walls, and wind to fill the air. Bro is seriously cooking. He's got to picture every tiny detail from how it feels to how it smells, basically running a full 4K movie inside his brain. He gives the final order, hits execute on his alchemy, and boom, he's instantly crafted a small storage room. Check out the stats on this 5-star Otherworld storage room. It's got elemental powers, it's basically indestructible for 100 years, and is a total god-tier pull. Our boy thinks he's finished, but he's already calling it trash compared to the hero's gear just because he missed a drainage system. Like, dude, you literally just created a pocket dimension. Calm down. He's not even sweating it because even though he knows that Otherworld gear is totally cracked, this is just the first step toward building something way more OP. The Demon King and Mabel are totally losing it over what Thor-sama just did, but the king is still doubting how this tiny little box is supposed to be a whole workshop. Thor's wearing that cocky main character grin while telling him to remember those bottomless storage boxes. You know, that totally broken item from every isekai. He breaks down exactly how the power works, and the king is totally stunned, asking if there are any other space magic alchemists out there, but Thor tells him he's the only one. Thor keeps it real and admits he needed the Demon King's mana to pull it off. So the kings stop the small talk and demand to see the inside. And our boy just gives them the green light like a total boss. Mabel tells the advisor they'll be back in a sec, and Thor heads inside with the king. He swings the door open and they all dive straight into the pocket dimension. Mabel is zooming around inside and totally losing it, shouting that she could run forever because even the royal treasury doesn't have gear this epic. It finally clicks for her. This is just a knockoff of the hero's gear, but Thor's gonna rip it apart to build something way more powerful, proving he's a total genius. Thor is still acting all modest, but compared to the hero's infinite space, he thinks he's got a long way to go. Man, he really needs to stop nerfing himself. He tells me that if he can master this tech, he'll make storage bags, and he wants me to be the first person to test them out. Mabel turns bright red and stammers that a simple maid can't accept a legendary item, and honestly, she is totally head over heels for him. She's totally losing her mind, and our dense MC is just standing there like he's got zero clue what's happening. She's blushing like crazy, but she finally admits she's actually loving it, proving she's the ultimate tsundere waifu. Suddenly, the advisor starts pounding on the door asking what's up, forcing Thor to snap back to reality and yell that they're all good since the guy totally thought they were being sus. 8 advisors are already there, and he's jumping in too, claiming he's checking for safety since the Demon King is inside. But we all know he's just being nosed. The second he steps inside, his mind is totally blown by how massive this place is, realizing it's as big as their own arena and finally giving Thor some respect, but then a system message pops up out of nowhere, flagging a super rare SS rank item that gets auto-stored and starts thawing out. The Demon King's insane robe and mask just got snatched into storage, and both of them are totally immune to every element. Thor and the advisor are losing their minds as the king's fit just disappears into thin air, and then out of nowhere, it turns out that big scary Demon King is actually a total waifu. Our guy is totally shook seeing Demon King Luqueer's real form, and he definitely wasn't ready for this insane RNG. So the Demon King is basically like, fine, I forgive you, but she's definitely still looking super salty about the whole thing. Thor is sweating bullets after realizing his OP shed actually loots rare items for him. And honestly, he's such a dummy for forgetting his own system. The shed's code is super simple. It sees rare loot and just yoinks it, so the Demon King's whole disguise got sucked up like a legendary drop. It was total madness. The Demon King is hiding her face in a panic, Mabel's losing her mind running everywhere, and the MC is literally face down on the floor begging. She tells him she knows it was a total accident, so he needs to get up before things get way too awkward. She explains that she can't exactly rule a demon empire looking like a tiny waifu, so only her family and the maids know what she really looks like. She used a special item to get that scary demon lord glow up, totally hiding what she actually looks like. Mabel tries to be sweet and says she's just a late bloomer, but she's not buying it at all, shutting her down and turning to our MC to get his actual take on things. She looks him dead in the eye and asks what he really thinks of her true form, and man, he is totally caught off guard. He's totally tripping over his words, probably screaming in his head, "Don't mess this up, don't mess this up." Then he drops the ultimate simp line, saying he just saw a literal goddess and turning his riz up to the max. He doubles down on the comparison, saying her beauty made him rethink his whole life when he used to think OP magic items were the absolute peak. He finally admits his work is total garbage next to hers, and while she's freaking out and calling him crazy, he's just standing his ground and being 100% yet. She snaps back that a god-tier alchemist like him has no clue what it's like to hide your whole life behind a mask. Then our boy drops a massive truth bomb, admitting he's been lying this whole time, and now she's the one who's totally shook. He finally admits he's not some VIP guest, but was actually sent here as a human sacrifice and a hostage. His own dad straight up told him to drop dead, calling him a total embarrassment to the family. In this empire, combat stats are the only thing that matters, so since our guy is just a squishy alchemist, everyone treated him like total trash and thought his skills were a joke, but then he drops a total bombshell, telling her that landing here was the luckiest RNG of his entire life, and she's just standing there like, wait, excuse me? He's just hyped to finally go full nerd mode on his alchemy and make stuff people actually need. Mabel the maid is totally reeling from all this info, asking if he was really sent here just to die, and our boy straight up confirms it's the truth. She's like, bro, why would you tell the truth when everyone thought you were a high-ranking envoy? You could have used that fake status to get literally anything you wanted. He just winks and tells her she's right, asking her to keep it a secret. Man, this guy is a total menace. He breaks down the big plan. If the secret leaks, he's toast and the empire is ruined. So he offers a deal to keep each other's secrets so they both stay safe. And the girls are just standing there with their jaws on the floor, totally losing their minds. Our MC knows his big brain plan is working perfectly because now that they both have dirt on each other, nobody's gonna snitch. He sees right through her, realizing the big scary demon king is actually just a girl with zero confidence hiding in a costume. He realizes they're basically the same, both hiding who they really are, and it all finally clicks. The demon queen starts cracking up like a total maniac, calling him a complete legend for spilling his biggest secret just to get hers. She's still bright red and screaming, trying to figure out what his game is. He calls her out for laughing, but she fires back that he's the one who ruined her disguise, and this new move of his is way more wild. She finally admits his wild plan actually worked, so now she's got no choice but to trust him. He asks if she's for real, and she's like, duh, you're all in, so I'm in. Then he starts hyping her up again while she tells Mabel to keep this whole talk on total lockdown. Then she lays down the law, telling everyone that Thor is her personal alchemist and a total VIP, so they better treat him with respect. Mabel salutes her queen instantly, while our guy just sits back and watches his master plan work out exactly like he wanted. Luke makes it clear that their secrets only exist outside these walls, and in here, they can finally stop the act. Thor totally gets it, and now his secret hideout from the world is her safe spot too, where she can finally just be herself. Out of nowhere, Mabel comes up with a total genius plan. She suddenly blurts out that they should have tea parties here so the Demon King can just chill and talk with Thor, and the king is totally down for the idea. Thor literally offers to build them a whole tea party set just so they have a cozy spot to chill and eat snacks. What an absolute legend. The Demon King is totally hyped for this tea party spot, and honestly, this alchemist is the absolute GOAT. And just like that, their secret base is officially the new tea party spot. They even gave it a sick name, the Kingdom's Tea Time. And they had no clue this was actually the start of some massive power plays for the Demon Kingdom, but we'll save that. Mabel the elf maid is just giggling away while Thor is over here trying his best to just chill. He asks what's up, and she's just thinking about Luke-sama laughing earlier because seeing a demon lord actually smile is like finding a super rare legendary drop. So her dad, the old Demon King, was a total psycho who forced her to fight hordes of monsters just to make her as OP as him. Talk about a nightmare parent. Thor totally feels him and starts dropping his own tragic backstory about how his dad's training was so insane he legit thought he was going to die. That's exactly why he ditched his family. And honestly, nothing brings people together like some good old trauma bonding. Thor is super confused because he knows she's already a total beast. The other maid jumps in and says that when it comes to magic, she's a total SSS rank beast that nobody can even touch, but in the Demon King's land, everyone is obsessed with raw power, so Laqueer hides her face because she knows these meatheads would just call her weak for being small. Everyone starts hyping up Flame General Razinga, a massive all-white 7-foot fire demon who's built like a tank, breathes literal flames, and is such a martial arts master that he's basically a walking raid boss. Thor's jaw drops as he realizes this is the same legend who fought the heroes at Flaming Mountain. The maids are like, hold up, not everyone in his clan is a total gym rat. And some are actually super chill, maybe even a little too nice, which is definitely a major red. Mabel is totally pumped because she remembers their big castle tour is finally happening tomorrow. Night finally falls and darkness takes over the Demon King's massive castle. Just as they're finishing up, Thor gives Mabel a huge thank you for everything she did. That's when Mabel shoots her shot, giving him a wink and telling him he can finally stop calling her Orifix-sama. But this guy is way too clueless. flexing his VIP minister status while completely failing to read the room. She hits him with those puppy dog eyes and begs him to just act normal, and he totally caves instantly. Looks like he's officially simping for Mabel. Then she goes total yandere mode, grabbing his hands and begging him to stay with her forever. She's totally down bad, even whispering that she wants to stay by his side forever. The guy's brain totally glitches out, and his face turns bright red like a tomato. Mabel realizes she just dropped a massive love bomb and sprints away as fast as she can, yelling, "Have a good night," while she runs. Thor's left all alone, grabbing his chest while his heart pounds like crazy. And my guy is actually thinking about it like he might just stay in this place forever. He's totally locked in now, swearing he'll never return to the trash empire as he uses his broken alchemy skills to build a better future for Mabel and Lukeweir. Back at the throne room, this guy named Kelv is giving the lowdown to the Demon King's Chancellor. The Chancellor jumps right to it, asking if this is all about our boy Thor. Kelv is trying to wrap his head around everything, asking if Thor's item is just some health product, but bro, it's definitely not that. Kelv is totally losing his mind, and honestly, who wouldn't after scoring a literal dimensional storage box? He tells them it's the exact same legendary loot the heroes had, a magic bag that can hold an endless amount of items. Then he just starts losing it, screaming his head off like he's totally terrified. The Chancellor is totally stunned and tells the guy to quit screaming since he's the one who's actually shocked. But Kelv isn't playing around, because this is exactly why those heroes were so broken they could literally pull infinite items out of thin air. He explains how they'd whip out 100 weapons or slam back potions like it's nothing, which is honestly the most broken inventory hack ever. The Chancellor totally gets it, because if every single one of them had that power, we'd be totally wiped out. Kelva is totally losing his mind because Thor just made one, and he's begging the king to step in before Thor hogs all that insane power for himself. The Chancellor literally faceplants and hits the floor, but I'm just like, bro, relax, since he already promised to make one for me and Mabel. Kelv's brain is totally fried. He's literally just handing them out for free, and now the whole idea of rare items is basically dead. The Chancellor tells Kelvin he needs to relax and just chill out. Then he drops a total shocker. Thor actually wants to be a chill alchemist working for the Demon King. Luke looks back and realizes those simple words were all it took for her to finally trust him. The two demons figure if the big boss trusts him, he's gotta be legit, especially since he let them use the footbath without a fuss. The bar is basically on the floor, but he still cleared it. That Chancellor just gives a smug smirk, and man, it's super sketchy because I've never met anyone like this guy before. For real, you can't look away from this guy because he's basically a human plot twist, and everyone knows it. Kelv catches the Chancellor looking way too happy and asks if something went down between them. That old demon was acting totally chill, so we just talked like it was no big deal. We get a flashback of Thor and Luke shaking hands, showing they finally understood each other and giving all that political drama a super wholesome ending. And that's basically how the whole thing went down. So while Thor is out there doing his ice thing in demon territory, everything back at the Empire is starting to get absolutely wild. All those snobby nobles are throwing a massive party in the capital, but they have zero clue that everything is about to go down. Suddenly, the whole crowd starts buzzing because the main man, Duke Vargas Reguez, just showed up looking totally smug. Everyone is calling him a total legend for sacrificing his own son for the Empire, and man, they are seriously obsessed with this guy. All these NPCs are going wild and calling him the ultimate noble, proving the brainwashing is totally real. Everyone is seriously just sucking up to him like crazy. Our guy is just soaking up all that hype, totally convinced that he's the absolute GOAT. This dude has the most punchable face ever, especially while he's bragging about how he totally deserves all this praise. Major yikes. He acts like being famous is such a chore, but then tells his right-hand man that with his son finally out of the way, their family can finally level up. That is just straight up cold. But then his butler pipes up looking super nervous, warning the boss that Thor's skills are actually insane. The Duke completely flips out and screams at them to never say that guy's name again, since his only job was to die and he's just being super salty about it now. Suddenly, the ultimate dream girl walks in, and everyone loses their minds like they just pulled a legendary 5-star character. It's the queen of the empire herself, Rihanna, and she looks straight up fire. The fans are losing their minds as she steps out, looking incredible and flexing S-tier light magic that's honestly just unfair, but the queen is totally done playing games, so she marches right up to the Duke, calls him literal trash, and tells the guards to throw him out. The Duke is totally losing it, and his face is straight up meme material. The guards start hauling him away while he's screaming, "Do you even know who I am? I'm the Duke." But they're just like, "Yeah, we know," and the queen said, "Get lost." He's still trying to talk his way out of it, asking the king what he even did wrong. She hits him with the ultimate death stare like, "You almost got my whole squad killed, and you're really gonna ask that right now?" The Duke is totally clueless, but things got real dangerous the moment you asked to get that magic sword fixed. She drops a massive bombshell, telling him she got the sword back, but the second she put her mana into it, the whole thing just shattered, and the Duke's shocked face is honestly the best. She keeps going, and get this, it all happened right in the middle of a fight with a demon beast, where I almost got smoked before my boys had to jump in and save me. She did some digging and realized the repair was a total scam, because they patched the sword with trashy basic metal instead of the high-quality stuff. You can totally see him starting to freak out, and the guy is seriously sweating bullets. The crowd's vibe flips instantly as they start whispering about what a total joke he is for breaking his weapon. And just like that, all the clout he just earned is completely gone. The Duke starts freaking out, screaming that this has to be the Alchemist's fault since they were the ones who fixed it. He's trying to act like the workshop scammed them on purpose. But the Queen is way ahead of him and already sent a messenger to get the real story. She whips out the work order his own butler signed that says fixing it is too hard, so just make it look pretty. And since the Regu family promised to take the fall for any explosions, the entire room is losing their minds because they know this guy is absolutely done for. The Queen is still totally trashing him. And get this, the Alchemist claimed the sword was basically fixed with just a few tiny flaws, but that's the exact spot that ends. She holds up the broken sword and shows him that the real repairs survived her OP light magic. But his trashy fix just fell apart. She's totally flexing on him at this point. The butler is sweating bullets and tries to change the subject, asking if that sword was just meant for ceremonies and stuff. Man, this guy is straight up having the worst day of his life. She totally blows him off, but I'm only alive because that mystery alchemist did a legit job fixing me up. I'm gonna track this person down and turn them into my own personal power-up station, so tell me who they are and where I can find them right now. The Duke tries to save his skin by blaming some random wandering alchemist, but the Queen is totally over his lies and kicks him out on the spot. And just like that, the Duke of Shame finally gets out of there. The butler is waiting right there, but the Duke is just straight up fuming. He snaps at the butler instantly, yelling that the idiot just totally trashed his reputation. He's pacing back and forth, knowing his family's clout is totally trashed, but he's already cooking up a plan to fix everything. I'm gonna show them all and prove I've still got what it takes to serve the Empire. If he can just play those idiot demons and demi-humans, he's not just getting his fame back, he's hitting a crazy new power level and going full-on villain. Cut back to the Demon King's territory where our main guy is just hanging out, totally unaware that his dad just got absolutely destroyed in front of the whole world. Mabel the elf maid is super hyped and tells Thor to just sit back while she handles the whole grand tour. Our boy is just zoned out staring at her, thinking her hair looks totally different today while she goes full tour guide mode, explaining that the maids stay on the first floor and his room is way up. They take him on a quick detour through the kitchen where the head chef and the maids are busy whipping up a massive feast. Mabel is straight up vibing, leading him through those giant castle halls like she's the one running the whole show. Next up, we're heading straight into the main entrance hall. She explains that this spot is the main hub to get anywhere, and the guys are just like, "All right, bet." Thor spots this insane statue of a warrior girl and asks who the heck she is. It's actually the OG Demon King, and our boy is losing his mind because the first ruler was a total waifu this whole time. She explains that the sword the statue is holding is a total legend, forged from a literal meteorite, which is a crazy rare find, but Thor's OP alchemy senses kick in, and he whispers to the other maid that the sword is actually a total fake. He notices there's 0 mana coming from it and calls it a total fraud, leaving the maid blown away by his maxed-out senses. Mabel gets all depressed and explains that the real one was a legendary national treasure, but it got totally wrecked during the war against the heroes, and now it's just lost to the RNG gods. Our guy is such a legend, telling her he'd fix it in a heartbeat if she still had the pieces, and the maids are honestly losing their minds. Mabel is totally losing her mind because it's a legendary weapon, but then she remembers he's an alchemy god and realizes he could actually pull it off, but Thor is just built different, so he ditches the old junk and decides to forge a brand new sword that's way more broken. He's already cooking up insane weapon stats, like a sword that can stretch out or fire dark mana beams for the Demon Queen. Mabel is so hyped that she literally tackles him, simping like crazy and telling him she's down for whatever he needs. The other maid is just standing there totally shook, watching Mabel simp way too hard for our guy. Even those massive beefy Minotaur guards are totally blushing under their helmets. Out of nowhere, some random guy pops up asking if he's the guest from the Empire, but Mabel just plays it cool and tells everyone to keep the tour moving. This new dude starts talking smack right away, acting like he's way better than Thor and calling him a total weakling. This guy is a total beast, standing nearly 7 feet tall with bright red hair, and he's basically a walking gigachat. Thor knows him right away. It's the Flame General Risinga, and this guy is a total beast. Rising gets all cocky and asks if they've heard of him, acting like he's some kind of massive celebrity. Thor keeps it totally cool and introduces himself as Thor Regus from the Delgalea Empire. The general's basically like, "Yeah, I've already seen your file," before introducing his daughter Agnes, who's rocking a full suit of heavy plate armor. He starts trash-talking the guy to his daughter, calling him a total weakling when he expected a beast from a legendary warrior empire. He's actually sobbing right now. "I wanted you to fight a real warrior, but we're stuck with this trash-tier support character who has zero chill." Agnes gets so mad that fire starts leaking out of her armor, and her dad literally has to tell her to chill out. The general starts grilling Thor for info, asking which Empire fighters are actually strong enough for him to go hunt down. But Mabel isn't having any of it, so she steps up and tells the general to back off since Thor is a total VIP. She tells him straight up that he picked the wrong spot to be snooping for info. Risenga just scoffs and mocks the king, calling his plan to learn about humans noble in the most sarcastic way possible. He's like, "We should be checking out their fighting skills on the battlefield, because that's where my daughter and I really crush it." This guy is still super salty, calling it a total joke that a weakling who can't even fight is getting treated like a king. He gets right in Thor's face, and Thor just mocks him, asking what he's even gonna do. "You can't even fight, so how are you supposed to be any help to the Demon King?" This guy's aura is so massive that Mabel is straight up sweating buckets from the crazy pressure. She's convinced this beast could totally wreck Thor in one hit without even breaking a sweat. Thor's doing the math, and yeah, he could try to talk his way out of this mess, but he's just not about that. Instead, he drops a total truth bomb, saying he's an alchemist for life and he's going to use his powers to max out your daughter's armor as the ultimate flex. The general mocks him for being a weakling, but Thor shuts him up by revealing the armor is actually powered by the earth element. Then he starts dropping some serious alchemy facts, explaining that earth blocks the heat, because if he used water, the steam would have literally cooked her alive. Talk about a massive brain play. Mabel is totally losing it because he recognized it instantly, while Thor explains it's a super rare item with a double earth attribute. But then he hits him with a total reality check, calling out how his armor is basically trash because it's melting from its own heat and the joints are falling apart. So he offers. The general completely loses it and tells the human alchemist to butt out of his business. He snatches his daughter and storms off, yelling that he'd never let a total weakling touch her gear. As they head out, his daughter gives Thor a quick bow, looking totally blown away by him. As soon as they bail, the Minotaur guards start totally simping for Thor, but he's such a beast he doesn't even flinch. Mabel is totally losing it, reminding everyone that Risinga is easily one of the 5 strongest dudes in the whole castle. Thor's like, "Nah, it wasn't about being brave. He's just a total gear nerd who couldn't resist how sick that armor looked. He just wanted to flex on the general and show him what a pro alchemist can really pull off." Our guy suddenly realizes that talking trash about that massive, scary general who just walked out was a huge mistake. Mabel doesn't waste a second and jumps straight into the tour. But he's definitely going to ask Mabel for the full tea on those two later. I had no clue that Lil Encounter was about to cause some massive drama later on. I had no clue General Risinger was about to totally snap and go absolutely berserk. The tour of the Demon King's massive castle is finally over, and our boy is giving a huge thanks to Mabel the maid for looking out for him. She says it's no big deal but then gets all sneaky, asking if he's going to be at the bathhouse a lot, and he just laughs and says he's basically a pro. Mabel gives him the green light to use it whenever he wants, but she's got one massive catch. She tells him to check the door for an in-use sign first, which is honestly a pro move if you don't want to walk in on something super cringe. Our guy heads straight for the baths, sees there's no sign on the door, and figures he's totally good to go inside. He walks into the changing room, and the whole place is totally deserted. He's about to wash up when he spots a 6 set of armor just sitting in the corner, and he realizes it's totally Agnes's gear. Before he even realizes what's happening, a massive whoosh of sound blasts right out of the bath. He's shaking like crazy and wondering what just happened. Then he remembers Mabel saying salamanders heat the water like little fire-breathing tea kettles. Then his brain finally clicks. Salamanders serve Ifrit. Agnes is an Ifrit descendant, so that armored knight is totally in there right now. Instead of running away like a normal person, this absolute madman walks straight to the door and starts calling out. He gets blasted right in the face by fire, and then he sees some seriously epic flowing hair. Suddenly, a voice yells through the heat for those salamanders to quit playing around. But the guy shouting is totally 100% naked. She's just acting like it's no big deal, telling her pet lizards to stay chill until the bath is ready. She just flicks her finger and boom, a massive fireball explodes out of nowhere. She gets super embarrassed and starts apologizing because her fire control is honestly just trash. The kid is completely frozen in place because he's finally seeing Agnes, the human tank, without her armor for the first time ever. It finally clicks that her fire is so OP it would torch any outfit, but then he realizes she's actually naked and seriously bro, we've already been through this. He tries to ghost her and act like he didn't see a thing, but she catches him red-handed and he is totally busted. One of those tiny lizard guys gets totally freaked out and launches himself straight at our MC. It blasts a massive stream of fire straight at his face. But our guy has insane gamer reflexes, so he pulls out a weird box, yells, "Activate pourable super small storage room," and just slurps up the fire like a smoothie. He's one of the rare prototypes that actually works, while Agnes is in the back, totally losing her mind. She's absolutely freaking out, thinking she just toasted the Demon King's #1 guest. She's totally losing it over calling the healers and what her dad will think, but our boy just shrugs and says he's totally fine. He's got a huge smirk, saying he totally saw this coming and brought backup, while she just stands there completely frozen in shock. Then he drops the realest question ever, asking her to please cover up first, which makes her turn bright red as she scrambles to hide herself. A little later, she's all geared up and introduces herself as Agnes Frazad, apologizing like her life depends on it for that whole fire mess. Thor's panicking and trying to explain he was just curious about the heater, having absolutely no clue she'd be standing there totally exposed. She's totally blaming herself for hanging out in a spot that's usually a total ghost town. She admits she totally forgot the in-use sign, but he's already jumping in to tell her she didn't look bad at all. He immediately fumbles the bag by going full simp, calling her a literal goddess and then apologizing for being such a weirdo. Seeing that this apology battle is going absolutely nowhere, he quickly switches gears and asks about that insane Ifrit blood. He points out that her fire is so intense it's actually melting her super rare armor, which is honestly kind of epic. But she's not having any of it, explaining that her powers are totally out of control and just explode whenever she gets nervous, even though she was literally just training with her salamander friends to fix it. They're the only ones she can actually chill with, and it's super obvious she totally hates having these broken powers. She drops a super sad story about how she used to wear cute outfits, but now that her powers have woken up, she accidentally sets everything and everyone on fire. Thor is a total legend, and just casually offers to fix her fire problem, leaving her completely shocked and wondering why he'd even bother helping. He's basically like, "Look man, I'm the Demon King's new alchemist, so this is literally just my job now." He points out that backing her up is the best way to show the big boss he's the real deal, so it's a total win-win. She's got zero comeback because he's actually making sense. He asks her to officially hire him, and she totally breaks down, crying that all she wants is to wear cute clothes and make friends like a normal person. She finally gives in, bowing her head and officially letting him help her out. The guy flashes her his trademark grin and takes on the quest. He wastes no time and hands her the flamesucker box as a quick fix, and she's totally losing it because she thinks it's some insane legendary item. He just shrugs it off like it's no big deal, telling them he can easily make more and they're basically just a beta tester. He heads off to get to work, leaving her totally stunned and thankful as the waifu-saving arc finally kicks into high gear. Our guy finds out that if you have Ifrit blood, you don't actually get full control over your flames until you're way older. Since 20 is the magic number, Agnes has 5 more years of being a total fire hazard who can only vibe with salamanders, and honestly, that is just a brutal way to live. Thor is just staring into space, looking like his soul completely left his body. He knows a bandage won't cut it, so he's got to find a real way to save his fiery waifu for good. Suddenly, he gets a massive brain blast. He remembers his broken list of items from the hero's world and knows there's got to be something in there to shut down these flames. Right as he's about to start flipping through the pages, the elf Mabel pops out of nowhere and asks Thorsama if he's doing okay. She spots him rushing around and gets curious, so he explains he's building something to help Agni finally control her flames. Mabel jumps right in and asks if they're actually best friends or what. It turns out Mabel and Agni actually go way back to when they were just kids working at the Demon King's castle. She admits they used to play together all the time as kids, which is honestly just way too cute. Then Mabel drops a total lore bomb, telling them the castle is packed with god-tier healers. These healers are totally cracked. They can even make nasty burn marks vanish in a heartbeat. Thor finally connects the dots and realizes exactly what's going on. He finally figures out that Agnes was the one who accidentally burned Mabel way back when, and she's been so wrecked with guilt that she's been ghosting everyone ever since. Talk about a major oop. Mabel's starting to cry, and Thor is totally locked in on a mission straight from God. He announces he's going to build a special item so Agni can finally get her wild flames under control. Once he pulls this off, they'll finally be besties again, and honestly, that is such a total Chad. He finally spots the perfect item in the catalog, a pendant that boosts his health to the max. The ad for it is honestly so cringe, showing some big shot teacher who claims it's the secret to balancing your Kai energy. Thor realizes this is actually feng shui, a totally different magic system from a whole other world. So, while his world uses 6 elements, the hero's world only has 5: fire, light, dark, earth, wind, and metal. This pendant swirls 5 different types of mana, or Kai, to finally wake up the user's hidden powers. The logic here is absolutely wild. Wood burns into fire, fire makes ash for the earth, and earth turns into metal, opening up a totally different skill tree. The design on this pendant is actually based on divine beasts like the blue dragon and the white tiger. Mabel's jaw drops when she realizes the hero's world is so broken, it can actually create something this perfect. She's shaking like crazy and says she's totally terrified. But check this out. Thor's just standing there with a massive smirk, totally hyped to finally go all out. It's time to craft, so he triggers his alchemy and a massive 3D blueprint pops up right in front of him. He knows the hardest part is going to be carving those insane beast patterns onto the pendant while keeping the chain nice and soft. He starts mapping out his swaps, using a flame Garuda for the vermilion bird, a basic dragon for the blue dragon, and just sticking with the tigers since they're basically the same. For the other two, he's just got to copy them perfectly and pray it actually works. A second later, he's got every single shape totally locked into his brain. Now he's got to add the power to switch between elements. Wait a minute, his world doesn't even have wood or metal, so how is he going to pull this off with just fire, water, and earth? Right as he's freaking out, a notification pops up saying he can now control all 5 elements. Talk about some legendary luck. Now he's finally got his hands on those missing elements. He just unlocked this insane new skill and he's shouting that it's time to stop waiting and just go for it. He locks in and sees the final result in his head with crazy detail. He makes Mabel double-check the book's drawings, and after ticking off the dragon, the tiger, and that hairy beast, they're finally ready to roll. He kicks off his final alchemy move, swearing he'll help Agnes turn those insane flames into any other element. He's making sure she never has to cry again, and honestly, he's a total legend for that. Boom! The health pendant is finally finished and it looks absolutely fire. This gear is absolutely stacked with 5 elements and massive buffs to his strength and healing. And as he grips this legendary item, he's praying it's finally enough to snuff out her. Mabel's brain goes into overdrive as she wonders what would happen if they surrounded the Demon King's entire land with 5 of these things. Thor gets that wild look in his eyes, thinking if just one pendant can buff a single person, imagine what it could do for an entire country. Mabel snaps him back to reality, telling him it'd be way too hard and would need a ton of boring approvals first. The pendant is finally finished, and that's all that counts. Now he just has to test it, and if it works for everyone, he's basically invented a brand new OP item for the whole squad. He seriously can't wait for tomorrow to get here. So boom, Agnes's dad finally catches her wandering the castle, and he is totally losing. He's basically like, "Yo, we're leaving tomorrow, start packing." But Agnes just wants to take one last look around the place. His dad starts lecturing him, saying he's not even mad because the only reason he's a total fire hazard is that insane OP Ifrit blood in his veins. He says controlling fire by instinct is a total boss move, but Agnes just shrugs and admits she's actually terrible at it. Next, we meet this new waifu who's acting super confident, saying she's going home to start some mines and join forces with the Empire. Since their land is right on the border, they've got to play it cool with the neighbors. Agnes's dad gets super salty and starts bragging about being the Empire's guest, basically saying that's just how their fancy nobles act. He starts laughing like crazy, roasting Thor for being weak and having 0 skills, calling him pathetic like the ultimate hater. Agnes is totally done with all the lies and screams at her dad to just stop it. She's totally guarding herself now, but Thor Regus is actually a solid guy. I've even talked to him myself. Then she whips out the ultimate proof, a gift box, and tells them this guy saw she couldn't control her flames and gave her a rare item just to be nice. So Dad just stands there staring, his brain totally lagging as he tries to wrap his head around that news. Then he totally loses it, snatches the box and screams at Thor like he just personally insulted his entire family. He's still talking trash, saying a dumb item won't change the fact that you're so weak, you have to hide in that armor 24/7. He shuts Agnes down before she can even get a word in. Then he pulls the ultimate parent guilt trip, claiming this entire mining project is actually just for her. His big plan is to use Agnes's crazy fire magic to blast every monster in the mine, basically turning his own daughter into a human bomb just to flex on the Empire, which is honestly super messed up. He's all hyped up thinking your fire will turn them to ash and scare the Empire. But then we see Agni out of her armor looking totally crushed. She just sadly goes along with it, knowing deep down she's only being used as a tool. She's honestly a total wreck inside because all she wants is a normal life. But ever since her magic woke up and she accidentally scorched her best friend, she's been a complete But then she remembers our boy Thor, who wasn't scared of her at all, and even promised to help, making her finally realize why Mabel sticks with him. They're both just really good people. But she still feels totally stuck between her dad's expectations and those scary, cursed flames. Her dad gives her one last day of freedom before they head out, acting like he's some kind of super generous king. That night, Agnes is totally freaking out. She knows Thor needs way more time to finish the item, but with them leaving in just 2 days, that deadline is basically impossible. But then she looks at the box he gave her, and just hearing his words is enough to give her hope again. She decides right then that tomorrow is the day she's finally going to thank him for Back at Demon King HQ, the boss and his advisor are stressing out because finding a workshop for Thor is a total nightmare. He's got a massive list of demands, like wanting easy access to supplies, but that's a total nightmare when you're a human stuck in the middle of demon territory. They can't let him just roam the streets where some random thugs could jump him, and he definitely can't just start mining in the middle of a public park. The Demon King agrees that having him around a bunch of people is way too risky. The fix is simple. He needs a bodyguard, and then the king brings up Agnes's dad, Rysinga. The princess jumps in, saying she already told Rysinga to back off her guest, but she can't really punish him without making Thor look bad and starting a huge political mess. Everyone agrees they need to find Thor a secret spot far away to set up his totally broken crafting station. The Demon King gives the command and his advisor jumps right into action. The next day rolls around and Thor is already standing there waiting for Agnes. He says what's up, and she's still totally geared up in that massive suit of armor. And look who showed up. It's best girl Mabel, here to be the absolute best wing woman ever. Agnes showed up to say her goodbyes, totally convinced that there was no hope left. She starts thanking him while assuming he ran out of time, but Thor just shuts her down and says it's already finished like a total boss. He pulls out this insane pendant and tells her it's the secret to putting out those flames, leaving Agnes completely blown away. He says this Esther item swaps her fire magic for other elements, totally nerfing those wild flames while she's wearing. She's absolutely losing her mind and screaming because this guy literally speedran making a legendary item overnight. Mabel's always one step ahead and shows up right on time with a fresh set of clothes. She tells Agnes to ditch the armor, but Agnes totally loses it. She gets a total flashback to the nightmare of when she actually burned her friend. She's freaking out that she'll just torch Mabel's clothes and end up hurting her again. Mabel is 100% sure Thor knows his stuff, and he even promises to fix the pendant right away if it glitches out. Talk about top-tier customer service. Then Thor drops the most epic line, telling Agni he'll keep making him magic items forever just because he wants to. And honestly, the guy is down bad in the most respectable way possible. That hits Agni right in the heart, and she realizes he's the only guy who can actually give her peace. So she knows if she misses this chance, she'll regret it forever. She finally ditches the heavy armor and stands right in front of Thor Regus, asking him to let her use the special gear he made just for her. He just grins and hands her the key to her brand new life. Number 8. Thor is just vibing while his entire dragon squad is totally knocked out. Out of nowhere, a noise at the door makes him jump out of his skin. Look who finally showed up. It's Agnes, the night girl, and she's letting him know she's good to go. She walks in wearing a full maid outfit and starts totally panicking about looking weird. But Thor just steps up like a total boss and tells her she's crazy cute without missing a single beat. She basically explodes from that compliment, going total tsundere mode and screaming that it's not true. Suddenly, that OP necklace he made her starts glowing. A system screen pops up giving her a massive 100% health boost, and it even starts turning her extra fire magic into other elements. Now that is a serious buff. Her chest piece glows like crazy as it sucks up all that fire magic and flips it into wood, earth, metal, and water. This sets off a huge chain of power-ups, supercharging her mind and spirit until she's totally crashed. She's totally stunned, and her eyes are sparkling like she just found the rarest prize ever. Another screen flashes with even more buffs, doubling his flexibility and vitality. This pendant is seriously cracked, no cap. She's honestly just way too smooth with it. He starts spinning around, feeling light as a feather with all those crazy new stats. She's so hyped she starts bouncing off the walls, and even the tiny dragon wakes up to cheer her on. She totally messed up her new power-ups and accidentally yeeted herself straight into space. Whoops! So her clothes are literally falling apart midair. And when the MC tells her she won't burn her outfit anymore, she just screams that she isn't wearing any panties. The whole room goes dead silent as our guy and the elf maid blush so hard their faces turn bright red. Our guy instantly starts panicking and swears he didn't see a thing, but man, that was the least smooth move ever. The system is still spamming her with crazy stat boosts, and she's basically turning into a one-woman army. Agnes is totally dying of embarrassment, swearing that the whole no underwear thing was just a massive accident she didn't mean to happen. Thor doesn't even care that he just took a massive L and is all smiles because the experiment was a total win. Mabel is absolutely stoked and thanks Thor, screaming that her wish finally came true. She dashes over and pulls Agnes into a giant hug, making her totally freak out. Agnes is totally losing her mind over her fire powers, but Mabel steps in and tells her to chill because everything is finally under control. Then Mabel drops a massive bombshell, admitting that the trauma you have from burning someone was actually her fault. Yeah, my bad. She breaks down in tears and admits that Agnes only went totally berserk because little Mabel was fangirling way too hard over her magic awakening. And now she's just sobbing that it's all. Mabel remembers how Agnes just wouldn't stop saying sorry over and over after the accident happened. She tells her straight up that it's not her fault, and she's never going to hurt anyone ever again. She can finally hug people without burning them to a crisp, and honestly, it's the most wholesome thing ever. Agnes is straight up bawling her eyes out, giving us a total ugly cry of pure joy. Once the tears finally stop, Mabel starts squishing Agnes's cheeks to get her to smile again. She looks right at our guy and tells him it's finally his turn to step up. Thorsama! Mabel pulls the ultimate wingwoman move and tells him to hug Agnes, and our boy is straight up losing. She tells Agnes to treat this like practice so she can finally get used to people touching her. Then she traps Thor with a total bomb of a question, asking if he really hates the idea of hugging Agni-sama. Our guy is totally freaking out and just screams, "I don't!" at the top of his lungs. Now, they're both turning bright red, just standing there in the most awkward pre-hug pose you've ever seen. Of course, his mind goes straight to the gutter when he realizes she's still not wearing a single thing under there. Right when things are getting crazy, this giant armored guy bursts in, screaming his head off for Agnes and asking where she went. He spots them and gets this huge grin on his face, realizing he finally found exactly where his daughter was hiding. Then this massive tank of a dad, General Reisinger, shows up out of nowhere, and he looks totally pissed to see our guy hanging out with his daughter. He asks what's up, and our guy just hits him with the most awkward, it's complicated smile ever. Bro, you seriously need to read the room. The dad is absolutely fuming, screaming, "What are you doing to my daughter?" Like our MC is some kind of total villain. Mabel the maid steps up like a total boss to protect Thor, refusing to back down even though the dad is about to go full Super Saiyan mode. This general is absolutely fuming, screaming that he's going to drag our boy back to his base to make him pay, but honestly, he needs to chill because the guy literally just helped her. Thor tries to chill things out and begs his dad to just listen, but the old man isn't having any of it. He warns him that if he says another word his mouth is history, then he zips right past him in a total blur. He's moving way too fast for Mabel to even keep up, and she's getting totally blitzed. And don't get it twisted, this isn't just some random dad. He's the Flame General, a legendary beast who can solo 100 soldiers with his fire spear and absolutely crush everyone on the battlefield. Now that legendary arm is flying right at our boy. Right as he's about to turn our main guy into a total pancake, bam! But out of nowhere, his daughter Agnes blocks the hit and tells him he seriously needs to chill out and listen. Everyone is losing their minds because she just got a massive power-up, boosting her health and stability by 250%, along with a ton of other buffs that make her totally broken. The general is totally pinned and can't even shake her off, man. He's getting absolutely wrecked. He's screaming at Agnes, asking what happened to her because her new power level is totally insane. Our guy is totally losing it, wondering how she broke free and got this crazy strong out of nowhere. Thor jumps in and says Lord Thor gave his absolute all for Agnes, which sounds super sus, but let's just roll with it. Her dad is totally stunned to see her in normal clothes instead of her armor, but thanks to Thor, she can finally dress like a regular person without her magic going totally haywire. Thor tries to explain he's an alchemist who found a fix for her, but this guy's brain just completely shuts down. He instantly jumps to the craziest conclusion and calls him a total creep, accusing him of lying about the fireproof clothes just to see them burn off. Man, this guy has zero chill. Thor just flexes and pulls the general's own flames right into his palm, straight up snatching his power like it's absolutely nothing. The general is totally losing it, wondering what Acha's fire even is because he's definitely not dealing with some basic alchemist. Then our MC drops the coldest line ever, telling them he's the alchemist serving the demon lord, and it was a total mic drop moment. He's not actually a villain. He just wants to fix the demon realm so everyone can live in peace, and he even sorted out Agnes's magic problem. Thor tells them to just listen, even if they don't believe him. But the dad is totally losing his mind while trying to break free from Agnes's grip. He's done talking and screams, "You're coming with me!" as he tries to grab his daughter again because this guy seriously doesn't know when to give up. But Agnes is pinning him down, and she's basically a brick wall. She's literally begging him to stop so they can just be a family. But he keeps screaming that he's doing this for her, and if he doesn't chill, she's going to have to go full power on her own dad. So now the maid is literally squaring up against this massive fire golem guy who looks totally jacked. Thor and the elf girl are just standing there with their jaws on the floor as they watch this whole crazy scene go down. This massive dude is already losing his mind and can't even finish a single sentence. He's screaming his head off because he can't believe how broken this guy is, and he is definitely not having a good time. Agnes is pumping all her rage into her magic, and she's basically going full Super Saiyan mode. The guys are wondering where the fire came from, but the maid just tells them it's all thanks to their absolute legend, Lord Thor. She realizes she's dumping way too much power into that pendant, and it's totally about to blow. And it's working. She's got enough power to stop Shogun dead in his tracks with some insane lockdown defense. She makes it clear that Thor's power-up isn't for attacking. It's strictly for protecting her friends. And man, she is giving off total main character energy. She says Lord Thor told her that if she just shouts the name, she can save everyone. Just like that, the system drops a massive 400% vitality boost, and man, this item is seriously broken. Daddy Dearest is straight up losing his mind and screaming his head off while his whole world falls apart. She straight up yeets that massive guy into the sky and screams at him to apologize to Lord Thor, going from a maid to a pro wrestler in 2 seconds flat. He's begging her to put him down, but the little witch is having a total fangirl moment now that she knows those OP stories about him are actually true. After they explain the whole deal, it turns out Thor actually built a custom item just to help Agni keep her crazy fire under control. Shotgun is totally freaking out right now because he knows he just messed up big time. She shows off the Vitality Pendant, a legendary piece of gear that shuts down her fire magic and even lets her swap it for other elements. Now Agnes can finally rock some cute outfits like a normal girl, and the Shogun is totally losing his mind. Thor just gives a nod like, "Yeah, I'm the guy who handles the business." Now Agnes is finally living her best life and rocking that super cute maid outfit she's always wanted, all thanks to Thor. It hits him like a truck and he whispers, "What did I just do?" realizing he almost beat up the guy who actually helped his daughter. Then he just slams into a total faceplant bow, screaming at the top of his lungs that he's sorry. He's totally desperate now, begging for forgiveness after acting like a complete clown to the only person who was actually trying to save his daughter. Thor's just standing there, in total shock, because he realizes the guy is actually crying for his daughter. Shotguns is straight up crying because Thor isn't even flinching. And since he's doing it all for Agnes, Thor realizes this guy is actually a pretty awesome dad. He finally admits he was totally blind and couldn't see who people really were deep down. So his next big move is to literally wreck his own eyes. And honestly, bro seriously needs to chill. Thor jumps in right at the last second, telling him to back off because he's taking things way too far. He tells him straight up that he's living in the devil's zone now, so he needs to stop trying to rip his eyes out every time he sees it. The Shogun is begging to pay for the item, and you can totally see the gears turning in Thor's head as he tries to name a price. "If that's how it's gonna be," he says, staring up at the massive castle. He says it's not just about her being comfy anymore, because Agnes is actually getting way better every time she lights up her flames. Thor's thinking this guy is a way better dad than his own trash father. And since the Shogun actually agrees to fix things with his daughter, we're finally seeing some epic character growth. Alright, the scene shifts and now we're dropping right into the Demon King's mining zone. Things get super creepy right away with massive spiders hiding all over the shadows. These monsters are going on a total rampage, just shredding through those poor guys like it's nothing. But then a brand new squad of adventurers rolls up, and they look totally ready to throw hands. The boss is getting his crew super hyped about some insane treasure buried right under their feet, and he's definitely not sweating any demons. His motto is super simple. If it gets in the way, he just chops it in half with that classic meathead logic. His squad is totally loving it, hyping him up like he's the star of the show. He crushes that spider in a flash, and his guys are totally hyped, calling him the coolest boss ever. Then out of nowhere, a web shot flies in and blasts him. Man, I really spoke too soon. And just like that, he's dead, totally wiped out. Talk about the shortest character arc ever. That's when the real boss spawns in. A spider the size of a truck, and the whole squad starts freaking out and running for their lives. That giant spider goes on a total rampage and squashes the whole crew like bugs, wiping out the entire squad in seconds. I guess this is just what a normal day looks like in a high-level zone. Back at the castle, Thor is literally just vibing and taking it easy. He's checking out that new space stone he got from Agneson, and since it's made of meteoric iron, he unlocks space magic just by touching it. Seriously, this guy's luck is absolutely broken. He's totally hyped about all the new elements he's found in the demon realm, and after mastering the main 4, he's even grabbing space magic like he's collecting rare Pokemon. He's got some time to burn, so he heads over to clean out the storage room the Demon King told him about. He swings the door open and it's not some dusty storage room. It's a massive mountain of treasure and he's totally losing his mind. He spots an insane magic sword that's a total match for the one held by the first Demon Lord statue. Right as he's checking it out, the Demon King herself pops up and scares the life out of him, asking if he's there, like, bro, ever heard of knocking? Thor is busy styling Demon King Lucia for the big party, and when he asks how she looks, she's straight up a 10 out of 10 waifu. She's totally not feeling the royal vibe and reminds him they're just friends with a secret. She pulls the boss card and orders him to call her Lucia. And honestly, acting like a total tyrant, just to hear her name is low-key adorable. My man folds instantly, saying he gets Lucia-sama's point, but then he asks if they should keep it a secret until the party so they don't look bad. Lucio is blushing like crazy and is so down bad she literally can't handle it anymore. Thor sees this and thinks it's adorable, but man, the romantic vibes between them are getting seriously intense. She dodges the awkward vibe by asking what he's doing, and mentions she found something weird while cleaning his workshop. He whips out this busted sword he found, and it's definitely not the legendary one from the statue. Thor uses his massive alchemy brain to realize this is just a trash-tier prototype that some guy tried to copy from the legendary sword before failing, and just tossing it in a corner. He even shows her the blade is totally trashed and can't slice a thing, proving it's honestly just a straight-up failure. Lucia explains this is a super old project from her grandpa's day, a team-up between an elf and a dwarf that never actually happened. Thor gets all shy and asks if he can keep the sword at her place, but she's just like, bro, why are you even asking? She hands him the wrecked sword to make it official. Suddenly, a massive idea hits him. Could he actually use this fake to forge a real-deal magic sword? He spills that his dream is to forge a weapon even more broken than the Empire's holy swords, but since he's trash at fighting, it'd be a total waste of materials for him to use it himself. His big plan is to craft the ultimate weapon for Lucia to use on her beast hunts, and man, what an absolute Chad. LeChair is totally blushing and thanking him, but wait, hold on a second. Another guy jumps in, saying they don't need more swords, they need long-range weapons to take down that beast from a safe distance. And just like that, he's on to the next project, telling them he's going to see what kind of heat he can cook up. He bolts straight to his workshop, while Lucia just winks like, yeah, he's definitely not busy at all. After we get a quick rundown on what these demon beasts are all about, our guy is locked in and studying like his life depends on. His maid Mabel asks what he's up to, and even though the sword was a letdown, he's already pumped to start a new project for taking down demon beasts. Out of nowhere, he spots the perfect blueprint and decides right then and there that he's gonna build it. Mabel sneaks a peek at the book but is totally lost, staring at a weird black cylinder with a clear tip and writing that looks like straight-up alien gibberish. Thor says this tool is built for hunting monsters and tells Mabel he needs her backup. When it's time to craft, he pulls off some insane alchemy by smashing light and dark magic stones together to fire a massive laser beam. Then he adds wind to blast that light even further, proving this guy is a total genius. He's locking in with every bit of his strength to fire off a perfectly straight beam of light. He's firing up his super alchemy one last time. He actually crafts a 4-star rarity laser pointer, and I am totally dead. He's totally full of himself, screaming, I did it, while showing off what's supposedly the ultimate weapon from the brave world. Mabel is totally clueless, asking what a laser pointer even is, and what kind of broken OP skill he's using to read that ancient catalog. This manual looks like a total 90s ad, calling it a must-have tool for your presentation that scares off annoying creatures. Thor has zero clue what a presentation even is, but he's totally hyped about it, while Mabel is just standing there looking super suspicious. She's totally stuck on the part about teachers sending info to a target, and she's like, what is that even supposed to mean? Basically, this means a leader can tag an enemy so his whole squad knows exactly who to jump. Everyone's getting super hyped, thinking the enemy is about to get taken out instantly without making a single sound. The manual warns never to use it on people and lists tournament rankings, so they figure it's a pro weapon for heroes to hunt monsters in a competition. Mabel's mind is totally blown, and she figures presentation must be the name of the monster slaying contest. So even though it's a huge reach, Thor is super impressed that Mabel totally gets it, and she's blushing like crazy. They realize this is the legendary long-range weapon the hero used to one-shot a massive beast. And get this, the annoying little guy from the manual looks exactly like the bird beast they're fighting. There's no doubt about it, they are totally convinced their theory is the real deal. They're acting like this tiny laser pointer is actually a legendary super weapon that's going to change the world forever. This creepy object is straight from the hero world, and it's totally terrifying. They look dead serious in the final shot as a ghostly PowerPoint looms over them, marking the start of the most terrifying presentation ever. He's hyped and ready. This is the perfect way to scout those monsters, so let's see what he's got. These randoms are beefing over the battle plan, with one guy saying the elf needs protection in the back while the Minotaur insists she covers their six, but the elf is just sweating. This guy is totally losing it, shouting that he can't move up if his back isn't covered. Turns out the boss Gargarosa is a giant spider that swarms you with a whole army of Minami monsters, and it's honestly a total nightmare. Their big plan is to have the Minotaur charge in like a total beast, while the elf stays way back and snipes everyone from a safe distance. Thor's watching this whole mess go down, and he knows the plan is total garbage, because the second that tank gets close, every single mob is going to swarm the supports. See that line right there? That's the max range for a regular mage, and it's honestly pretty weak. They arrive at the training field and spot the target waiting right there for them. The mission is simple, just nail that bullseye. Thor's not here for the boring stuff, so he pulls out his crazy new laser pointer to glitch the game and see if it gives him insane range. He points the laser right at the target and tells Mabel to aim her magic at the red dot, so she charges up a sharp icicle arrow and gets ready to let it rip. And boom, it lands a perfect hit right on target. Mabel is totally shook after that hit, while Thor is already hyped to try it again from way further back right now. No joke, she just sniped that target from way past her usual range, and this power-up is totally crap. They double the distance and he nails it perfectly again. This is actually getting insane. We jump back to a flashback of the Minotaur totally roasting the elf, screaming that spells have a limit and he can't just camp out in the back. He thinks elves should stay in the back, but this guy is so far away it's actually crazy and he's not having it at all. Back in the present, these two losers are spying on the squad's practice from a crazy distance, thinking it's totally impossible for anyone to be casting spells from that far away. Out of nowhere, the elf catches a bright flash of light way off in the distance. In kaboom, the target gets absolutely smoked, leaving everyone watching with their jaws on the floor. Our guy crunches the numbers and realizes the range is like 5 times bigger now, and since they've literally run out of room to test it, this spell is officially broken. Mabel's still trying to wrap her head around this insane cheat code, asking Thor-sama how it's even possible for them to be this far past the limit. Thor's finally putting it together. Every single shot hit the exact same spot that laser was pointing at. He breaks down his theory, explaining that the laser pointer is basically a magic leash that locks the caster right onto their target. It literally steers the spell right through the magic flow, turning it into a straight-up homing missile. The elf girl is totally shook because she finally sees how deadly this thing is, and with that much insane power, it definitely came from the world of heroes. The experiment was a total win, and it's time to show the big boss, but first, the MC says they better clean up this huge mess they made. Those two guys watching are totally losing it, but nope, they're the ones who have to clean up this whole mess themselves. Thor just keeps it chill, says he gets it, and thanks them for the help while apologizing for the mess. And just like that, it finally clicks for the Minotaur that Thor's tech totally solves the whole spell range problem. One of the girls speaks up and says Thor-sama is the one who can actually fix these broken things. Their faces just completely drop because they can't even handle how insanely broken he is. We cut back to that fancy demon guy, Counselor Kurov, who asks the two commanders if they're the ones who saw the whole thing happen. He tries to play it cool like, wait, what are you even saying? Thor-sama and Mabel work for the Demon King, so obviously they're total beasts. This guy is totally obsessed with gossip, leaning in with a creepy grin and begging for all the tea on that weird item. Hearing that makes him totally snap, and he screams for Thordono to get in there and explain himself right now. Kurov just found out how broken Thor's custom gear really is, and he's totally losing it because nobody should be allowed to have this much power. But back at the main castle, things are starting to get wild. This massive beast of a general is gearing up for a big meeting with a messenger from the Empire. She's terrified her dad is going to lose his cool, so she begs him to stay chill and not start any drama with the Empire reps. She hits him with that iconic anime death stare that we all know means business. He starts getting all emotional because her look reminds him of his late wife, and since that really hits him in the feels, he promises to behave. This is a massive deal since the fate of the Empire and the Demon King's land is totally on the line. And after promising the Flame Giant, he absolutely cannot mess this up. This Flame Giant's oath isn't just for show, it actually has two huge meanings behind it. First, it means you're down to die for your king, standard knight stuff. But the second part is basically a marriage proposal that's way more metal. We get a super sweet flashback of him and his wife making their own separate vows on the exact same day. Back in the present, the general clenches his fist, totally cringing at how he tried to act all tough and scare Thor. He's realizing that the only thing he can do now is grow up into someone they'd actually be proud of, and man, this character development is finally hitting. A maid pops in to tell him the envoy is waiting, and just like that, it's go time. He steps into the room and meets the envoy, this chubby guy named Marquis Gora. The Marquis starts kissing up to him big time, going on and on about how the general is a total legend. He's thinking, wait, I thought this guy was just some cocky meathead, but he's actually pretty chill. And then they finally get down to business. So here's the deal. The Empire is sending 100 to 200 soldiers to help crush that giant spider boss. The general is totally on board, and now they're getting straight to the money talk. Then this greasy guy asks to stretch the silver payments out for 4 whole years, which is honestly super sus. He basically tells the general to hand-deliver the Empire's silver as a huge thank you gift. The general is shocked and asks if he's supposed to lie to the king, but the guy just tells him to fake the mining reports instead. He's basically pitching a secret deal to steal money together, promising they'll have a massive ally in the Empire while giving a super creepy win. The general is thinking this guy is super shady and honestly, no kidding, Sherlock. Then the messenger gets a massive brain blast and asks, yo, you guys know that Thor dude? He's planning to throw Thor under the bus and blame him for all their secret deals if they ever get busted. The general is just standing there, completely speechless. The messenger spills their whole trash tier plan. They're just gonna say Thor Dono stole the silver so the general stays totally clean. Isn't this plan genius? Thor's gonna lay down his life for the Empire and the general, and let's be real, this guy is a total villain. He calls our boy total trash and says once he's out of the picture, they can finally have their perfect romance. The general is totally done listening, and he's so mad he slams his fist right through his own armor and into the table. The messenger starts sweating bullets trying to make excuses, but the general shuts him down instantly. The general just says, I see, but his aura is straight up terrifying, and the envoy finally realizes he's in big trouble. He goes full demon mode and gets right in the envoy's face, telling him to shut his mouth and not say another word. He completely loses his mind, screaming that lying to the king is bad enough, but now they're trying to frame his best friend, the man who's literally about to marry his daughter. The envoy is straight up having a meltdown, and remember, he's also a friend and a husband. The general charges up his energy, yelling that talking is officially off the table. Then he just loses it and screams for them to get out of there. He's so incredibly mad that the pure force of his rage literally blasts the envoy away. I'm not wasting my breath on trash like you, so get lost and stay out of my sight forever. Honestly, what an absolute legend. The messenger goes tumbling out the door, crying about how things weren't supposed to end up like this. Right then, his daughter walks in on the mess and screams, Dad, what happened? While the general just looks away, totally embarrassed. He mumbles about having a lot to learn, but man, he totally failed that respect side quest the second he started talking. We're deep in the Demon Lord's territory now, and this place straight up looks like a final boss castle. No cap. A few days later, the Demon Lord's right-hand man shows up with some massive news because they finally got all the dirt on that sketchy Marquis Galoa. So this guy wasn't just trying to steal silver from the mines. He's actually the clown who planned the whole thing to get Thor yeeted. Since he snitched, the Empire, the Demon Lord is straight up losing his mind, totally shocked that someone actually had the guts to double-cross him. His aide hands him a letter from the Empire, and it's honestly the most pathetic apology ever, blaming a few random lords instead of the whole trashy kingdom. The assistant is totally stunned because they finally realize Thor was just a human sacrifice this whole time, and even the Demon Lord is losing it now that he sees how dirty they really did our boy. Meanwhile, Sweet Lucy is having a total meltdown because she's heartbroken over how mean everyone was to Thor. Back in the throne room, the assistant offers to break the news to Thor, but the Demon Lord shuts him down because he wants to tell his own alchemist himself. He's stepping up and taking all the blame, saying he's the one who let the mind experiments happen, So now he's the one dealing with the mess. The big boss decides he's heading straight to Thor's room to drop the news face to face. The Prime Minister is totally freaking out because he knows he owes Lord Thor everything now. He's realizing that the general who snitched was actually telling him the 100% truth. If he told even one tiny lie, their trust would have been totally trashed, especially since this whole scheme was basically next-level 5D chess. Now he's promising to grant Thor's every wish. This guy is straight up simping. The Demon Lord totally roasts him, asking if a big shot like him actually has the cash for a whole mountain of magic items. Back at the party, Thor is dropping all the juicy secrets to Lucy and the rest of the gang. Lucy is totally losing it because she can't believe your dad sacrificed you and then had the nerve to try and frame her for it too. She feels so bad for him that she just grabs his hand, trying her best to comfort the poor guy. Thor stays smooth as ever and tells them to chill out, saying it's actually super awkward when they cry over him. The elf maid jumps in to ask the real question. Why would his dad go through all that trouble just to frame her? Thor says the only reason this is happening is because the Empire's rules are totally trash. He spills some wild family secrets about his grandpa being a legendary sword saint who got totally wrecked by weak bandits just because he was drunk. Talk about a massive fail. He was way too young to remember the details, but that moment is burned into his mind forever. He realized being OP with a sword is pointless if one weak spot can end you, so he's using his alchemy to help people instead. What an absolute Chad. The girls are totally loving his vibe, but Thor knows his old man would never approve. This empire was started by people who do literally anything, using power, fame, or whatever it took, just to get exactly what they want. Lucy is still reeling from a dad sacrificing his own kid, but Thor is totally over it and is even changing his name to ditch his family forever. He drops a total bombshell and tells everyone to call him Thor Cannon, switching to his mom's last name just to give his dad the ultimate middle finger. The girls are totally loving it and think the name Thor Cannon sounds super cool. He'll keep using the boss's name for all that boring official business, but when he's with his squad, he's a total loose cannon. That's when Lucy jumps in and asks him what's really going on in his head. Suddenly, he realizes he's still holding her hand, and things get super awkward really fast. She gets totally flustered and claims she only grabbed his hand because she felt so bad for him. Thor sees his opening and drops some major riz, telling Lucy he wants to hold hands until they fall asleep, which totally breaks her brain and makes her face turn bright red. But the elf maid swoops in to shut it all down, telling the queen she can't spend the night in Thor's room. Talk about a total buzzkill. But you can't stop a guy this locked in, so Thor's alchemist brain goes into beast mode as he whips out a book to find a sneaky loophole. A second later, he pops right back up and shouts, "Lucy-sama, I found something we can actually use." The girls are totally freaking out, wondering what kind of crazy gadget he's building just so they can hold hands all night. So Zagrand and the princess are pushing through this total wasteland, heading straight for the negotiation tent. Old man Zagrand is still fuming, calling this whole mess a total embarrassment he'll never get over. But man, he really needs to take a chill pill. Their info was a total lie because they thought they were baiting 1,000 bandits, but a massive spider swarm showed up that was 10 times bigger than they expected. Their whole plan totally crashed and burned because they fell for a fake demon invasion, split their team up, and got absolutely destroyed. Now, Princess Liana is sweating bullets because she knows she absolutely cannot blow this deal. Zegrand's only thinking about how he turned her into the perfect pawn for his master plan, and man, that is seriously messed up. He's giving her this massive speech on how to be a total boss, telling her to take whatever she wants from the weak and force them to submit. The princess is straight up losing her mind, and you're seriously telling me this is the big master plan? She's looking to prey on the weak, scanning the group to see who's the biggest pushover here. Let's be real. The Demon Lord's squad of 100 guys and some spiders just totally wrecked 300 Empire soldiers, so the math is definitely not looking good for the Empire right now. Her sister's voice is stuck in her head, telling her to stop playing nice and start taking from the Empire instead. But Leon's over here like, wait, can't we just try talking this out first? Zagrand isn't buying any of this peace talk, blaming her sister Sophia for making her soft and warning that if she doesn't toughen up fast, she's going straight to the front lines. He keeps yapping about what a perfect princess should be, basically telling her to stop being so sweet and start acting like a total boss. Leonore is totally losing her mind after hearing this whole speech. She finally gives in and decides to go along with the Emperor's plan. She walks right into the demon camp looking like she just crawled out of a total nightmare. Zagrand flashes this super creepy, smug grin, and you just know this guy is a total villain. Drenched in blood, Leona puts on her best royal act and announces she's the third princess. She starts by thanking the demons for saving her soldiers, and man, she is totally buttering them up. She's still shaking because that demon lord's sword looked like a god slicing a mountain in half, and she is seriously traumatized. Zagrant can tell her fear is 100% real, even through all that brainwashing. She's still shaking like crazy just thinking about how insane that power was. This rookie demon lord suddenly pops out and introduces himself as Everguard, the new ruler of this place. He tells her straight up that losing is nothing to be ashamed of because even the strongest legends get clapped sometimes. He actually gives the Empire props for their strategy against those little spiders. He said their formation was super tight, so sticking to a 1v1 was a genius move to keep them from hitting their own guys. Zagran jumps right in, hyping up the princess as a legit warrior who fought her heart out for her friends. Next, the introductions kick off as the Demon Chancellor Curb meets the Empire's Minister of War. They're acting like they're all on the same team, but those demon generals look straight up furious. Curb calls them out right away, asking why the Empire attacked first when they were supposed to be working together. The Demon Lord finally drops the nice guy act and gets real, calling them out for baiting that beast and dragging it onto his turf without an invite. He starts wondering what would have happened if regular people were around when that monster went on its crazy rampage. "We had a plan to keep everyone safe, but you totally wrecked everything," he screams. He wraps it up by saying he just needs to know if the Empire can actually be trusted. Leona starts stuttering, just seconds away from revealing the big secret, but Zagran cuts her right off, jumping in to blame the whole mess on some rogue soldiers who were just thirsty for clout. He shoots Leona a look that could kill, warning her to stick to the script. General Lee is absolutely losing it, but the Demon Lord shuts him up and tells him to back off right now. Zagran throws out a totally fake apology. The Demon Lord turns back to Leona and asks to hear her side of the story. She jumps right into her fake story about how some soldiers went rogue, and that's how they caught the beast. She says they didn't tell the demons anything because they were way too embarrassed about their own failure. She even says sorry for all the trouble they caused. Zagran hypes her up even more, praising her for still brawling while she's totally covered in the monster's blood. Curb is way too sharp for this and demands to see the soldiers. But when Zagran claims they're too hurt to talk, Curb knows he's just lying to save his own. Zagran switches things up by handing over a thank you note and suggesting a massive ceremony to officially swear they won't fight each other. He's constantly sucking up to the Demon Lord, acting like his broken powers deserve all the respect in the world. The demons are low-key losing it because these guys have absolutely no clue how that sword actually works. The Demon Council is totally down with the plan since it makes their nation look legit and finally lets them start trading with the world. Lee is still fuming, but Curb warns him that those rogue soldiers were just set up to take the fall, and going after them is exactly what the Empire wants. The Demon Lord is totally down for the deal since he knows the Empire is worth a ton, and he's ready to just take the W and all the rewards. He brings up the secret trade routes between humans and demons in the Borderlands, and he's not about to wreck things for the regular people. And just like that, the deal is officially locked in. Back at their base, Zagrand is still lecturing Lyanna, telling her she needs to be cold and ruthless just like the Emperor. But she's totally gone to the dark side now, declaring she's Princess Leona and she'll never back down while she takes whatever she can get. She's down to swipe gear, weapons, and secrets for the Empire, even if she has to rob the Demon Lord himself. The big meeting finally goes down, and the princess takes the letter along with all the cool gifts. It's a peace offering that seals their new deal to never attack each other again. But Leona's got one last question before she's done. She was dying to know how the Demon Lord's land scored that insane long-range magic and that totally broken obsidian sword. The Demon Lord just shrugs it off, saying they're basically just borrowing an alchemist's smarts. Leona's eyes go wide as she wonders if this traveling alchemist could actually be a human from the Empire. She instantly flips into scout mode, determined to find this alchemist and force him to join the Empire because she is totally obsessed with his skills. She's totally sure that even an alchemist who doesn't fight can still be a huge help to the Empire. Zagrand is totally down for the plan, but the rookie listening in looks like he's about to lose it. Right now, Thor is out on patrol with Lady Agnes's crew right by that creepy old monster nest. These little demon dudes are totally gassing him up and he's honestly getting so embarrassed. He just uses Flame Store to suck up the fire like it's nothing, and his little fan club goes absolutely wild. Rookie is screaming like a total fangirl, shouting that her alchemist lord is way more awesome than that. Mabel is freaking out that they might run right into the Imperial soldiers. Thor's on a mission to hunt down more materials for his alchemy. He saw the princess's blade barely scratch the boss, so now he's going to forge a new sword that's way stronger than even the holy sword. The girls are totally losing it because they can't believe he's actually building something that insanely OP. Thor saw her glowing laser sword and thought she was a total beast, But Rookie shut that down fast by explaining the real power actually came from Lord Rookie himself. Mabel reminds him that the Demon Lord cares way more about his safety than some new sword. He's totally down to head back in just a bit. Right as he's about to chill, they suddenly spot Imperial soldiers. Over in the Empire, this guy Liges is being a total jerk to a maid and forcing her to call him Duke. This dude is totally power-tripping, thinking he's finally going to get his old title back and become the Minister of War. The big plan is a letter to Thor that's a total trap, making him look like a spy no matter what, so he's forced to be his dad's puppet. Man, what a garbage father. He's totally tripping, thinking he can just take down the Demon Lord and become a total legend. This guy is straight up singing and dancing about his big rise to power, and honestly, the cringe is totally off the charts. Back in the forest, a lost soldier sprints toward Agnes and her crew, desperately begging for help. Thor is lurking in his stealth cloak because he knows something is super sus. The soldier drops his weapons and asks for a ride back to his own arm. Agnes is a total sweetheart, so she agrees to help them out. But wait, Thor actually knows exactly who this guy is. It's the head guard from back home, the same guy who kicked Thor out. And man, the vibes are seriously off right now. Agnes also thinks it's totally sketchy that a head guard from the Vatical house is wandering around here without any backup. Thor is thinking way ahead of the game and builds a sneaky trap out of a cushion. He has Mabel hand it over to Agnes so she can give it to the totally wiped out soldier. This dude totally falls for the trap and sits right down on. Thor tells Mabel this is the clown who used to bully him for being weak, and she immediately asks if she can blast him with magic. Get him, girl! The guard tries to hand Agni a letter that's meant for Lord Thor Liges. Thor immediately calls him out for using his family name without asking first. Suddenly, this random dude pops out of the trees claiming he's Thor's right-hand man, but Mabel shuts him down instantly and declares that she's the real number one. He starts grilling the fake about Thor's favorite snacks and hobbies, and the dude is sweating bullets because he's totally busted. Thor just smirks, knowing this guy never actually gave a damn about him. Thor finally shows his face and the guard completely loses his mind. He starts sucking up big time, yapping about how much Thor has changed, but Thor isn't falling for it at all. The guard gets super aggressive, demanding to know how a total weakling like Thor actually got the demons to trust him. Thor snaps back that they aren't even speaking the same language and demands they hand over that letter right now. The guard hands it over and tells him he has to read it in private, but yeah, like that's actually gonna happen. Thor pulls a total boss move, handing the letter to Mabel and telling her to read it out loud for everyone to hear while the guard is left completely shook. Thor knows anything from his dad is basically a trap, so reading it out loud for everyone to hear proves he's innocent. Absolute genius move right there. Mabel reads the letter, and it's exactly what we feared. She's been ordered to spy on the demons and use Agnes as a hostage, which is straight-up treason. The guard tries to talk his way out of it, but Thor is officially done with his nonsense. He takes this chance to finally cut them out of his life for good. He tells everyone the letter is from his dad, and it reveals a secret plan to take down the Demon Lord's kingdom. He snaps that he can't even call a guy who sends letters like this his father anymore. From now on, I'm taking my late mom's name, and my name is Thor Kanan. The whole stadium is losing it as the rookie finally steps up and owns his new name. Mabel's feeling a bit bummed that his secret name is out now, but she's still super happy for him. Agnes also swears she'll stay loyal to Thor Conan no matter what happens. His new squad is screaming his name because they totally believe in him. The Imperial guards are just standing there with their jaws on the floor. Thor's actually getting a bit choked up seeing everyone cheer him on. The guard completely snaps, screaming that he's throwing his noble pride right out the window. Thor is being straight up savage, telling them he doesn't want or need any of it. So they should just go back and tell their boss that since he got dumped first, he's officially cutting ties too. What a total mic drop. He starts grilling the shocked captain for info, demanding to know how he managed to slip away from the Empire's army. The captain realizes right then that this isn't the same weak kid he knew back in the capital. He's finally free and hanging out with a crew that actually has his back. The Demon Lord pulls up to his squad and gives them major props for doing an awesome job. The whole squad is right there waiting for him, calling him Your Majesty, while the red-haired girl confirms that every last monster has been wiped out. But then, this random Imperial soldier just snaps and starts screaming that the Demon Lord is going to kill him, crying that he's about to be eaten alive and can't even move. Turns out this guy is literally glued to a trap cushion, getting totally wrecked by a 3-star whoopee cushion with an attitude, and man, it's just straight up embarrassing. The Demon Lord's right-hand girl is totally fed up, demanding to know who's responsible for this clown and telling him to quit squirming. But I'm the one who... Thor finally has to come clean, claiming the guy stuck to the cushion is just a lost Imperial soldier while the Demon Lord gives him a total death stare. He points right at Thor and tells him they're having a massive talk later. And yikes, someone is definitely in big trouble. Thor is just standing there looking totally shook like a complete amateur. The Demon Lord's right-hand man just hits him with the ultimate look of disappointment. He tells his crew to drag the guy away and make him spill every secret he's hiding. The Demon Lord turns back to his army to get them all hyped up, shouting that the monster hunt is officially over. They head out to the plains to set up camp for a massive victory feast, and the entire army just goes absolutely nuts. The whole gang is feasting like crazy and the energy is just peak. Later on, the Demon Lord pulls Thor aside to remind him who's in charge. But Thor is so nervous he just calls him Lord Rookie. Thor is totally sucking up to his new boss, telling him he's the greatest leader ever. And the Demon Lord loves the praise so much that he starts spilling all the tea on what actually happened to the princess. He lets Thor in on the secret. The princess was actually hunting for the Alchemist this whole time. The Empire basically wants to turn Thor into a slave and force him to craft gear until he drops dead, while the princess acts all sweet and asks for their wandering alchemist back because they supposedly never waste talent. Lady Rookie shut that down fast, telling the princess straight to her face that he's not her tool, and honestly, she was a total boss for that. She totally snapped and called them out for their trash behavior, yelling that they had no right to call him a wandering alchemist after treating him like garbage back at the Empire and failing to do even the bare minimum. The Demon Lord jumps in and says you totally disrespected him for real. Rookie realized the princess was totally clueless about how the Empire threw Thor out like trash, even though his powers could literally change the whole world. Rookie starts blushing like crazy because just thinking about him makes her heart melt, and then she swears the Empire is never getting their hands on Thor. Man, she is totally down bad. That giant red general is going totally berserk, but the squad tells him to chill before he freaks out the princess. The Demon Lord shuts it down right then and there, telling Lizinga he gets why she's mad, but his word is final and the conversation is over. He's laying down the law. Your empire kicked him out, so I took him in, and since he's one of mine now, I'm never handing him over to you guys. Then the rookie drops a total bombshell, claiming he's going to find happiness right there with her, and the whole room goes dead silent because she is clearly not joking around. I'm going to fix his heart so he stays right by my side because there is no way I'm sharing him with the Empire. Period. The Demon Lord wraps things up by asking for peace, and the princess is so terrified she can barely squeak out a yes. So that's how the deal wrapped up, and Thor is totally shook because I definitely didn't see that coming. Rookie looks him dead in the eye with total focus and promises he's going to make sure the guy stays happy here. Then she doubles down and promises to make sure every single person is happy. And yeah, that includes you too, Mabel. Thor is blushing like crazy with his heart racing, but then the Demon Lord suddenly changes the subject and calls his name. Wait, did you actually fix a magic sword back in the Empire? And Thor is just like, yeah, I remember working on something like that. He tells everyone his trash boss Liega stole his work and gave the credit to a random alchemist, making Rookie realize the guy the princess is looking for is actually you. She keeps it totally real and tells Thor she'd never lie to a friend, which is exactly why she spilled the truth about what that girl was actually after. Thor finally catches on and he is straight up losing his mind. He flashes a grin and says, next time you see that princess, tell her she better not mess with me. Tell her to get those loser nobles in check and quit sending all that annoying spam. He tells the Demon Lord that he's the only reason he can finally craft freely, and there's no way he's going back to being some emperor's puppet. You gave me a place to stay, total freedom, and even that online catalog, so honestly, life is awesome right now. He looks his new boss straight in the eye and tells him those other offers don't matter at all, because he's happiest right by his side. Rookie is totally stunned and can't even find the words. The Demon Lord just smirks because he was worried he was holding Thor back, but now his boy is straight up popping off. Rookie says she's checking all his mail now, and since he ditched his old family name, the whole squad calls him Master Thor Conan. He's officially one of the crew. Now that all that political drama is finally over, Rookie is heading straight back to the castle. The big general tells Thor he's moving into the estate to build a massive alchemy lab instead of a tiny shed, and Thor is absolutely losing. He's literally shaking with hype, so now I can finally open my alchemy shop, but man, this guy is such a massive nerd. The Demon Lord just shrugs and tells him that the whole thing was actually just a dream. The Rookie wags her finger and warns him to stay in line, or she'll assign a monitor to watch his every move. But the Imperial soldiers are having a way worse day than anyone else. Their leader Zagrand got totally crushed, so he never even got to see that letter. He realizes Thor totally played them, since coming clean and changing his name let him join the demons while making the Empire look like a total joke. Zagrand starts ranting about how Thor literally threw his old name away right in front of everyone. He's blown away because this kid isn't just a master crafter, he's a total genius who's on a whole different level. This entire mission was a total disaster, all because of a monster, the Demon King, and now this guy Thor Conan. Zagran just lets out a sigh, feeling like he's nothing more than a boring background character. Out of nowhere, the bushes start shaking. Zagran tries to act like a total boss and tells the princess to get some sleep, but she's just stuck apologizing for the massive fate. He tells her she's got to stay tough for the soldiers, because if she shows any fear, the whole army is going to start panicking. She agrees, trying her best to snap out of it and keep her cool. He tells her she's got to get way stronger for the sake of the Empire. But then, something starts creeping out of the shadows. Suddenly, a massive rabbit with huge horns jumps out and attacks them. It lunges straight for the princess, but Zagran dives in to take the hit. He takes down the rabbit with one single clean slice. He grunts, realizing this guy is definitely out for revenge after that kill they made earlier. Get ready and stay sharp, because a massive boss monster might be lurking right around the corner. The soldiers gear up and get ready to throw down. They quickly circle up around the princess to keep her safe from every side. Everyone's totally on edge and ready for anything. But the princess doesn't feel any monster vibes at all, since it was actually just a regular animal. Zagran just loses it and starts laughing like a total psycho. This is the Demon King's territory, and man, that bunny seriously gave this guy permanent nightmares. The princess runs straight to his side, telling him not to worry and to just focus on getting fixed up. She's screaming her head off for the medics to get over there. He realizes she's still calling him Gramps even though she was told not to get attached. But to him, she's just another pawn to be used. He remembers her as a tiny terror who was always starting trouble. She starts roasting him for being a tired old man. They head off into the moonlight, knowing they've got a massive mess to clean up back at the house. The next day, the Demon Lord hooks Thor up with an official permit, letting him craft whatever he wants anywhere in the Demon Lands. The Chancellor warns him that selling a few items is fine, but mass-producing this broken gear could cause some serious trouble. He hands him a massive stack of papers and then totally panics, telling him not to show it to anyone. Thor decides to travel the world, soak up all the knowledge he can, and use it to level up his whole kingdom. The Demon Lord tells him to just chill out and stop being so serious, because he totally deserves this vacation. Just like that, they're heading straight for the general's home turf. The general is being way too nice, so come on, Thor, let me show you around my home turf. But Thor's is already planning his next big move. I've already decided exactly what kind of magic item I'm gonna make. The whole town goes absolutely wild and gives them a massive welcome, and throw a massive party to stuff their faces. Everyone is having a total blast, but things are about to get crazy. But at dinner, Thor is just staring into space and totally out of. Agnes, the general's daughter, notices something is off and asks if everything is okay. Everyone's thinking it, so don't tell me you're already planning to make even more magic items. Agnes isn't buying it and figures he's probably just totally wiped out. But Mabel the elf maid knows exactly what's going on, and she's 100% right. Everyone's jaw just hit the floor. Thor jumps straight to the point and asks the general if he knows anyone who can use light-based attacks. I'm gonna need their help to get my research done. The general's totally impressed and already moving on, but why use light magic of all things? Thor holds up a crystal sword to see if he can figure out the secrets of the Empire's legendary holy blade. He reminds the general of that insane blade of light the princess used, and we all know how broken that thing was. The general starts flexing, but honestly, the Demon Lord's laser blade was way cooler. Thor is totally geeking out, saying that was just a prototype and he needs to study the holy sword to finally make it perfect. I'm trying to craft something that can actually block that blade of light. Everyone at the table is completely losing their minds. The general is totally stunned by this gutsy move because nobody would ever dream of trying to block a force that massive. Thor just flashes a grin and admits he's totally obsessed with alchemy. Exactly. So I need a light element attack to see if my defenses can actually handle the hit. The general tells him to chill, but Thor is already going wild, so I'm starting this story right now while it's still fresh in my mind. The general totally gives in, honestly hyped by how much heart the guy has. Agni says their land is packed with rare races, so someone there is bound to have light magic. She shows off the health pendant Thor made her, which lets her wear normal clothes instead of armor without catching fire. Talk about a major glow-up. But honestly, the staff are still totally freaked out seeing her without her armor. Her dad admits that even though they totally trust the pendant, not everyone is buying. That's because as a kid, she was a total fire hazard who was always torching her own clothes. Mabel is always one step ahead, so she whips out a stack of earth magic fabric she brought just in case. Thor reveals that this special claw is actually totally fireproof. He tells them to make Agnes some clothes out of it just to show everyone they're safe. Agnes is super touched and swears she's going to find a way to pay him back for everything. Thor just shrugs it off and says they're totally cool since the guy is helping him out in the workshop anyway. Once Thor and Mabel take off, the general finally says sorry to his daughter. Agnes, I don't think I can actually back you up on this whole love. She's totally caught off guard when he tells her he can't explain, but he's officially done helping her with her crush. She instantly thinks the Demon Lord has a crush on Thor too, and man, the competition is getting seriously fierce. The general says he can't spill the beans, but he basically just confirmed the whole thing anyway. Agnes isn't even sweating it, telling her dad that her only goal is to serve Lord Thor with everything she's got. Her dad calls her out for staring at him the whole dinner, saying she's basically already in love. She finally admits she has no clue how she feels since she's been stuck behind that helmet for way too long. She's putting her love life on hold because she's got to pay Thor back first. Her dad is beaming with pride, telling Agnes she's really grown up now. Now she starts wondering what Thor's type actually is. Does he want someone chill and sweet? Or a girl who's totally wild and fiery? She's literally starting to glow with fire just thinking about it. Her dad's confused why she's giving him the death stare, but she's totally roasting him in her head for getting in her business. Agnes, you seriously need to chill out. Thor's first night was basically just one giant shouting match between a dad and his daughter. Thor heads back to his new room to check out the massive space and his sweet portable alchemy lab. He's finally locked in and ready to get down to business. He whips out the legendary Catalog of Wonders, a book straight from the hero's homeworld. He's on the hunt for one specific item that can totally block light-based attacks. Right then, Mabel pops in with some tea and offers him a massage, basically going into full waifu mode. She warns him that Lady Rookie would be totally crushed if he pushed himself too hard, so she's taking charge of his health from now on. Thor promises he's not going to go totally overboard. Mabel's jaw just hit the floor in total shock. He's like, look, I was just picturing it in my head. I wasn't actually going to do it. Mabel is a total wreck, blushing hard and tripping over every single word. She gets dead serious for a second and begs Lord Thor to remember that he's super precious to all of them. He asks her to help him look through the catalog, and she's totally down for it right away. She already knows he's on the hunt for something to block out the light. Thor's actually impressed and drops his theory. Since those heroes from another world were always spamming light magic, their records have to have a way to counter. He says they were obsessed with giving their moves epic names like Photon Blade. It turns out they were total naturals when it came to light magic. He figures that in their world, people used light magic as easily as saying hello. Picture a world where saying good morning involves a terrifying photon blade that sounds like a total nightmare. Thor's shaking like crazy, but it's definitely not because he's scared. It's honestly just pure hype. I'm trying to finally reach the hero's level. He's super hyped about the ultimate vivid light, the insane move that actually smashed through the first Demon King's barrier. This is the absolute strongest light magic in the entire world. He figures out the hero's obsessed with abbreviations, so the secret code is definitely the initials U and V. He can even write a bit of the hero's language. Mabel starts reading the catalog out loud while he listens closely for any keywords. They quickly find two matching items that both mention UNV, strong light, and defense. First up is a UV parasol that blocks 90% of those nasty sun rays. The second item is a special lotion that blocks out those UV rays. The ad says to conquer the sun, and Thor's mind just straight up explodes. The sun is the absolute powerhouse behind every single light spell. Basically, everyone in the hero's world is so tough they can tank the strongest light magic with just their bare skin. This is the exact same magic that smashed a demon lord's barrier. And man, it is seriously broke. Thor's getting crushed on the floor, but he finally grabbed it. Now we actually have a chance against that holy sword. So one's an umbrella and the other is literally just lotion. He's totally convinced that UV stands for ultimate vivid light. I know it sounds totally insane to block a world-ending spell with just sunscreen, but hey, it's worth a shot. It's way too late to grab more supplies, so he starts prepping for tomorrow while Mabel offers to help him get cleaned up. He says he's got this on his own, but she's not backing down. He's supposed to be washing up, but instead, he's stuck debating if the lotion or the parasol is the better move. The lotion lets him use a sword and shield at the same time, but that parasol takes up a whole hand. But if he misses even one tiny spot with that lotion, he's in huge trouble. Besides, testing it on his bare skin would totally freak him out, so using the parasol is way safer and easier. He picks the parasol right as Mabel walks in with some water. She walks in, catches him still shirtless, and her whole face turns bright red. Yo, Lord Thor, why are you seriously still not wearing a shirt? He apologizes for zoning out, and then she surprises him by offering to wash his back. He's totally freaking out, but she's already got everything under control. I've got the perfect secret weapon ready just for this. She shows off a magic swimsuit that stays dry no matter what. And this one dude is straight up staring at her curves. She's totally locked in, and I seriously can't let her catch a cold. He's totally cornered and has no choice but to give up. He's seriously freaking out right now. She tells him to just let her know if he ever needs anything. Then she admits that she's at her happiest whenever he's just chilling right there by her side. He barely manages to mumble a quick thanks.